Chapter 3064. The Lu Family. They were one of the three major families in Thunder City and also the leader of the three major families. They were very powerful and could even compete with the domain chief's mansion. Ever since Lu Bo and Lu Chong returned to the family, they had heard all kinds of rumors about Longao. Could the legendary Longao be the Longao that they met in Heaven's Road? It was a little ridiculous. However, for some reason, the two of them felt that their guess should be right. "Cousin, you're back." Both Lu Chong and Lu Bo really liked Lu Rulin, but more importantly, Lu Rulin's identity. Because Lu Rulin's father was the current head of the Lu family. If they could marry a cousin like her, they could imagine the benefits in the future. Lu Rulin had a helpless look on her face when it came to her two cousins. Lu Rulin knew that they were interested in her, but she was not moved at all. Her heart was completely filled with a figure. Especially when she saw that person just now, she was even more reluctant to accept her cousin's love. "Cousins, do you know who we saw?" "Who?" "Longao. It's unbelievable. How long has it been?" Longao came to the Thunder Heavenly Territory. The two of them were completely dumbfounded when they heard what Lu Rulin said. They stood there in a daze with disbelief written all over their faces. They had heard about Longao long ago, but they had never told Lu Rulin. The two of them were not fools. Of course, they could feel that Lu Rulin treated Longao differently. How could they not be jealous? Moreover, to the two of them, their meeting in the Heavenly Territory was the last time they would see each other. They were in the Upper Heavenly Territory after all, and Longao was from the Lower Heavenly Territory. How could a puny lord come from the Lower Heavenly Territory to the Upper Heavenly Territory? The two of them did not know that Longao was no longer a Lord God, but a God-King martial artist. The two of them were not sure if Longao was the legendary Longao. "Cousins, what's the matter?" "Cousin, we have something to do. We'll take our leave first." Lu Bo and Lu Chong left quickly and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What was going on? Lu Rulin shook her head helplessly. Her two cousins were really abnormal today. If it was any other time, her two cousins would definitely not let her go. Their departure was exactly what she wanted. In a loft. "Do you think the Longao we know is the Longao that the Domain Lords Alliance issued a kill order for?" "I don't know, but my intuition tells me that it shouldn't be wrong. If it's true, then it's really unbelievable." "Lu Chong, Lu Bo has something to discuss with the Patriarch. Come in." Inside the room, a middle-aged man was sitting quietly behind the desk. He looked 60 to 70% similar to Lu Rulin. He was gentle and refined, giving people a feeling of a gentle breeze. "Greetings, family head." Upon seeing the man, both Lu Bo and Lu Chong immediately stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Lu Feng, the patriarch of the Lu clan, was also a peak divine emperor warrior. He was only one step away from becoming a divine venerable. He was also the most promising warrior in the Lu clan to break through to the divine venerable realm. "What's the matter?" Lu Feng valued his two nephews in front of him very much. Both of them had reached the peak superior divine realm and were only one step away from officially becoming a divine king. Not daring to hide anything, the two of them immediately recounted everything that they knew in detail. "Do you think the person you met in the heavenly region is the one being hunted down by the Domain Lords Alliance?" "Yes, family head." Lu Feng suppressed the shock in his heart. He really could not figure out why his daughter would be related to this person for no reason. However, after hearing about the Heavenly Road incident, he had some admiration for this Longao. However, the Domain Lords Alliance's deterrence was still there. Once they were related to this person, they could imagine the consequences. "Family head, what should we do now? Should we inform the Domain Lord's mansion about this?" He waved his hand. Lu Feng was very surprised. He did not know why the two of them hated Longao so much. Could it be that there was a grudge between them? In the Heavenly Road, if Longao had really helped Rulon, why should he provoke him? As the patriarch of the Lu family, Lu Feng was well aware of the rumors about Longao. He was a madman who was not afraid of anything. He was a madman who even dared to kill a divine emperor from the alliance of domain lords. If he provoked such a madman, who knew if this madman would attack the Lu family crazily? Although the Lu family was powerful, it was still not enough when compared to the domain lord alliance. In fact, the difference was like heaven and earth. Since Longao didn't even put the domain lord alliance in his eyes, let alone the Lu family. Remember, don't leak this matter. I will deal with it. You may leave. Yes? Lu Bo and Lu Chong turned and left, but they were not reconciled. They thought that they could deal with Longao this time, but they did not expect that the family head had no intention of dealing with Longao at all. After they left, what do you think is wrong with the family head? Why is he siding with Longao? The two of them were not fools. Of course, they could clearly sense that their family head was obviously siding with Longao. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it. Could it be that the family head had taken a fancy to Longao? The more it was so, the more the two of them wanted to kill Longao. It's very obvious. Then what should we do now? We must not let Longao leave Thunder City alive. So what if the family head is siding with him? Now, the entire Domain Lords Alliance is chasing after Longao. If this matter spreads to the Domain Lord Manor, think about it yourself. The two of them did not even need to think about it to know what the result would be. Lu Rulin did not know about Longao's matter from the beginning to the end. Father, are you looking for me? Lu Rulin entered and sat opposite Lu Feng. Lu Feng sighed deeply inside for the sake of his most beloved daughter. He said very helplessly, "Do you know someone called Longao?" Lu Rulin was not surprised at all. Of course, she knew that her two cousins must have told her father about Brother Long's matter. As for their intentions, she did not need to say anything more. They were just trying to scare her, and they wanted to borrow her father's power to pressure her. She nodded and said, "I do. I met Brother Long on the Heaven's Path. He helped me several times, and it was all thanks to Brother Long that I was able to break through to Overgod." Lu Feng already knew about this. He nodded and said, "Rulin, do you know anything about Longao?" "Not really." Lu Rulin shook her head helplessly. She really did not know anything. However, she was rather curious. She had no idea why her father would mention Brother Long out of the blue. Chapter 3065. Father, is there something wrong? Yes. Lu Feng certainly hoped that his daughter had nothing to do with Longao. That was exactly why. He narrated the matter regarding Longao and the Domain Lord Alliance in full detail. The more she listened, the more incredulous she felt. Was it really Brother Long? Of course, Lu Rulin knew very well what this meant if it was true. "Father, are you really talking about Brother Long? It shouldn't be wrong." Lu Rulin sighed. However, she did not dislike it at all. Instead, she was very proud that her brother Long was so powerful that he dared to kill so many divine emperors from the Territorial Lord Alliance. Looking at his proud daughter, Lu Feng sighed inwardly. How could he not know what his daughter was thinking? "Rulin, from now on, you're not allowed to have any contact with Longao. Do you understand?" "Ah." Lu Rulin was shocked when she heard her father's words. Lu Rulin instantly understood what her father meant. It seemed that he was afraid that she would be implicated and be hunted down by the Territorial Lord Alliance. She felt relieved after thinking about it. At this time, anyone who had anything to do with Longao would be unlucky. There was no doubt about it. "Father, Longao is my friend. Even if the Territorial Lord Alliance issued a kill order, it can't stop our friendship. From now on, you're not allowed to leave the clan." "Why?" "No reason." Lu Rulin certainly knew what her father meant, but she had another thought in her mind. In Thunder City, Longao was very low-key after entering Thunder City. According to the rumors, Gu Hao was only a primary-level ultimate god. However, Longao was very curious. Since Gu Hao was a primary level ultimate god, why was he so nervous about his master's inheritance? One had to know. Master Xianyuan Bubi was only a divine emperor and could not compete with an ultimate god. In that case, Gu Hao did not need to be afraid at all. What was the reason? If there was nothing fishy about it, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. As for what was fishy about it, it was unknown. Boss, if you want to know what's fishy about the inheritance, wait for Dongfang Tuing to completely refine the Xianyuan sword. Maybe everything will be clear then. He nodded. Right at this moment, Longao began to enter the primal chaos Dantian and began to cultivate wholeheartedly. Ever since he had broken through to mid-level God King, Longao had been unable to make another breakthrough. At this moment, Longao suddenly sensed that his cultivation, which had been stuck for so long, was actually loosening up. He had to strike while the iron was hot. No matter what, he had to break through to the high-grade God King realm. Domain Chief's manor. Hearing the news from outside, Gu Hao's expression became strange. He had no idea who had leaked the information to him. However, he still found it hard to believe that Longao would dare to come to the Thunder Heavenly Domain and even enter Thunder City. Would Longao dare? Even if Longao was a madman, he would not throw himself into a trap. Gu Hao still did not believe it from the bottom of his heart, but in order to find the Xianyuan sword, he had to try. There was no publicity. If they alerted the enemy, not only would they not be able to lock onto the enemy's position, they might even scare the enemy away. If Longao really entered Thunder City, then no matter what, he had to deal with the other party. Gu Hao began to search in secret. With his power, it should be an easy task to lock onto the other party's position. But what was the result? No matter how hard Gu Hao tried to lock onto the other party, he was still unable to lock onto the other party's position. It seemed like this news was fake, but after thinking about it, why would Longao dare to enter Thunder City? Unless there was water in his head, or he wanted to court death. 10 days later, Longao had already successfully broken through from mid-level God King to high-level God King, which was a pleasant surprise. As for when he would be able to break through to peak God King, that was unknown. Even so, Longao was still extremely excited. For some reason, ever since his cultivation had broken through to the God King realm, his cultivation speed had slowed down. Especially after awakening his primordial spirit, his cultivation speed had slowed down even more. As for the reason, even he did not know. Boss, why is it that after we awakened our primordial spirit, our cultivation speed has slowed down a lot? Xiao He, who was originally about to break through to the 6th level, also felt that his cultivation speed had slowed down a lot after awakening his primordial spirit. If this continued, who knew what would happen? How could Longao not know what Xiao He meant? After thinking for a while, he said, "It should be because back then, we were already infinitely close to proving the great Tao of primal chaos. Therefore, this time, after the awakening of reincarnation, the test we had to undergo was more difficult. However, this is also good. I can say that when we recover our peak strength, proving the great Tao of primal chaos will be much easier than before." Longao believed in his intuition. Since things had already come to this, even if Xiao He was unwilling, he could only accept it. In this kind of matter, only he could help himself. It was impossible for others to help him. Xiao He, my fate is in my own hands, not the heavens. Our fates are firmly in our own hands. Back then, you and I both knew that the great Tao of primal chaos would not allow anyone to succeed, because it would not allow anyone to surpass it. Otherwise, we would have succeeded already. The great Tao of primal chaos governs the primal chaos world. No matter who it is, they all have to submit to it. It won't allow anyone to succeed. Boss, when you created the 9 revolutions chaos technique, you had the greatest chance of succeeding, but you still failed to break through to the 8th revolution. Boss, is it really just the suppression of the great Tao of primal chaos? Longao understood what Xiao He meant. He shook his head and said, it shouldn't be completely due to the suppression of the great Tao of primal chaos. I'm very confident in the 9 revolutions chaos technique that I created. Even with the suppression of the great Tao of primal chaos, it shouldn't be able to stop me. It's just that for some reason, even when I tried everything I could, I still failed to break through to the 8th revolution even with the full assistance of both of you. It should be because I was missing something. So that's how it was. Xiao He was very clear that in the entire primal chaos world, there was no doubt that the one who had the greatest chance of breaking through to the great Tao of primal chaos was his boss. However, even his boss had failed to reach the great Tao of primal chaos, which really disappointed everyone. This was also the real reason why Nangong Yin and the others didn't want to take action. They wanted to see if their boss could really succeed in reaching the great Tao of primal chaos. If he could successfully reach the great Tao of primal chaos, then they might also have the opportunity to reach the great Tao of primal chaos. After all, only by successfully reaching the great Tao of primal chaos could one achieve true immortality. Chapter 3066. Big Brother, 10,000 years later, if others borrow your 9 revolution primal chaos formula and want to prove their Tao, I wonder what boss wants to do? How could Longao not know what Xiao He meant? He thought about it. Those who block me will be killed without mercy. These few words had already shown Longao's determination. Blackie, on the other hand, smiled. What he loved the most was killing. Among the 10 great divine beasts of primal chaos, the heaven-swallowing beast was definitely one of the divine beasts that loved to kill the most. Longao left the primal chaos Dantian, and before he could do anything, he received the news that Thunder City had already begun to seal the city. What was going on? But one had to know. Under normal circumstances, no matter which town it was, they could not casually seal the city. Even the Domain Lord could not do this. It was precisely because of this that Longao was very curious. He did not know what was going on with Gu Hao. Could it be related to him? Other than Lu Rulin, no one else knew that he had stepped into Thunder City. Rulin would betray him? He wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Longao was very clear about Lu Rulin's personality. If not for this, he would not have helped Lu Rulin back then in Heaven's Road. It seemed that he was overthinking things. If Longao was still holding onto the Xianyuan sword and using it, Gu Hao would definitely be able to sense it. However, in the current situation, the Xianyuan sword was not in Longao's hands, but on Dongfang Tuying's body. Even if Gu Hao's strength was heaven-defying, he would not be able to lock onto Longao's position. The current Gu Hao was also extremely anxious. He was doing his best to search for the person who gave him the news back then, but there was still no news of the other party. "My lord, someone sent over Longao's portrait again." Portrait? Gu Hao was furious. What was the use of just a portrait? He had Longao's portrait a long time ago, but it was useless. It was simply impossible to lock onto a person's position with just a portrait. Who was it? There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world, not to mention that this was Thunder City, Gu Hao's territory. Lu Bo and Lu Chong originally thought that this matter was foolproof, and that Gu Hao did not know about it at all. However, they never thought that Gu Hao would still find out about their movements in the end. No matter what, the two of them were still members of the Lu family. Even if it was Gu Hao, it was impossible for them to act recklessly in the open. However, for a domain lord, this matter was simply too simple. Inside the domain chief's manor. "Domain Lord Gu, may I know what business you have with us? I want to know about Longao." "We don't know." When Lu Bo and Lu Chong heard Gu Hao's words, their hearts skipped a beat. Could it be that Gu Hao already knew that it was the two of them who leaked it? If that was the case, then things would be very troublesome. Once this matter reached the ears of the Patriarch, It was easy to imagine what the outcome would be. "You're not going to say it?" A terrifying killing intent suddenly erupted from Gu Hao's body, directly suppressing it. How could the two of them resist Gu Hao's killing intent? The two of them almost collapsed to the ground. Since things had already come to this, even if they were beaten to death, they would not dare to hide anything. They immediately told them everything that had happened before. "Domain Lord Gu, please do not tell the Patriarch about this. Otherwise we will be in big trouble." 20,000 had never thought that things would turn out like this. In this situation, if the two of them said that they did not regret it, then they would definitely be lying. But so what if he regretted it? Gu Hao only sneered in his heart, but said, "That's not a problem, but I want you to help me find Longao. Don't refuse because you can't afford to." The two of them looked at each other, and saw a trace of deep helplessness in each other's eyes. Under these circumstances, how could the two of them not agree? Nodding helplessly, the two of them agreed. After returning to the clan, the two of them suppressed the worry in their hearts, and found Lu Rulan. Lu Bo immediately said, "Cousin, you must inform Longao. We just received news that the domain chief's mansion is preparing to harm him." If it was before, Lu Rulan would definitely not know anything. But now it was different. She already knew the ins and outs of the matter. She was not surprised at all. She had already guessed that if the domain chief's mansion knew that Brother Long had entered Thunder City, they would definitely take action. There was no doubt about it. Lu Rulan was very worried about Brother Long's safety, and did not care about anything else. However, during this period of time, she had sent many people to inquire about Brother Long's whereabouts, but to no avail. Now that she had been grounded by her father, she could not leave even half a step. How could she personally go out to search for Brother Long's whereabouts? "My two cousins, I have something to trouble you with." "Cousin, please speak. As long as cousin can do it, I will definitely help you." Lu Bo and Lu Chong had already guessed that what their cousin wanted to do was most likely related to Longao. Sure enough, cousins, at this moment, Lu Rulan seemed to have thought of something. She shook her head and said, "I think it's better to forget it. I'll be more at ease if I do it myself." Seeing that his cousin was about to say something, he did not know why she suddenly stopped talking. Could it be that his cousin had already discovered that something was wrong with the two of them? Just as the two of them had guessed, Lu Rulan suddenly realized that things did not seem to be that simple. She could not figure out why her two cousins were so concerned about Brother Long. It had to be known that the two cousins could not wait to kill Brother Long. Their attitude seemed to have changed a little too quickly. No matter what the two cousins meant, Lu Rulan did not dare to gamble because she knew very well in her heart that if she lost the bet, the consequences would be unimaginable. At that time, not only would she be unable to help Brother Long, but it would also backfire and harm Brother Long. Seeing their cousin leave, Lu Bo and Lu Chong were completely dumbfounded. If this matter was not done well, Gu Hao would definitely not let it go. When the time came, once this matter reached the ears of the Patriarch, they knew what the consequences would be. "What should we do now? What else can we do? We have been guarding my cousin all this time. I can be sure that my cousin will definitely not choose to give up so easily. As long as we pay attention at all times, we will definitely gain something." Since things had already come to this, they could only do so. There was no other way. When she returned to her residence, Lu Rulan was very worried. There was no need to say more about the strength of the domain chief's manner, especially the domain chief Gu Hao, who was a divine venerable warrior. Even if Brother Long could kill a divine emperor warrior, he would definitely not be a match for a divine venerable warrior. How could she not be worried? In fact, Lu Rulan could not lock onto Longao's position. She just wanted her two cousins to go out and release her news. But after thinking about it, she was afraid that if she really did so, it would implicate the family. Chapter 3067. How should I inform Brother Long? No one in Thunder City knew about it as there was no leak. At this moment, Thunder City, someone started to spread the news. The general content was to ask Brother Long to leave Thunder City as soon as possible as someone wanted to deal with him. Who was Brother Long? However, many people were spreading the news. Soon, the news spread throughout Thunder City. Father, why are you looking for me? Are you the one who spread the news? She was curious as she did not know what her father was talking about. Lu Rulin was confused as she asked, Father, what's the matter? Looking at the expression on his daughter's face, Lu Feng's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that it was not done by his daughter? If that was the case, who could it be? She then told her daughter about the news that had spread. Lu Rulin was not a fool. Of course, she knew the seriousness of the matter. It was obvious that someone was doing it on purpose. Rulin, since this matter has already been leaked, from now on, you must remember that you must maintain a relationship with Longao. Or else, not only will you have trouble, even your family will suffer a calamity because of you. Family. Lu Rulin sighed deeply. She could ignore herself, but she could not ignore her family. Father, I know what to do. Longao, who was in Thunder City, had also heard the news that was spreading everywhere. Who is Brother Long? Now, the entire Thunder City is filled with news about him. Who knows? Since someone is spreading the news, someone else will follow suit. Hearing the discussions around him, Longao was curious as well. He wondered who was the one who spread the news. Could it be Lu Rulin? He could not think of anyone else other than Lu Rulin. Longao did not want to go to the Lu family as he did not want to implicate Lu Rulin and the Lu family. However, he was curious as to what was going on. He went there secretly. Lu family. Lu Rulin was worried about Brother Long. However, there was nothing she could do now. She could only stay here obediently. Right at this moment. Rulin, are you the one who spread the news? Lu Rulin instantly guessed what was going on when she saw Brother Long suddenly appear in front of her. She immediately said impatiently, Brother Long, you should leave Thunder City immediately. The domain chief's manor wants to deal with you. This time, the person who spread the news wasn't me. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the domain chief's manor. His heart thumped. Longao was not an idiot. He instantly knew that Gu Hao must have known about him entering Thunder City. They wanted to force him to show himself. In that case, coming to the Lu clan this time was really a mistake. Rulin, I'll take my leave first. If the domain chief's mansion finds out that I'm here, you and the Lu family will be in trouble. Longao knew that if Gu Hao really knew about this matter, then he would definitely know about his relationship with Ruolan. If that was the case, then Gu Hao might have already sealed off the Lu family. As for the Lu family, although the Lu clan was the leader of the three major clans in Thunder City and even had a godly venerable rank expert in their clan, it was simply a joke for them to go against the entire Territorial Lords Alliance. It was precisely because of this that they had to leave here as soon as possible, lest they implicate the Lu family and Lu Rulin. But in the end, just as Longao was about to leave, a terrifying aura instantly descended. It belonged to a godly venerable rank expert. Another godly venerable rank expert appeared at the same time. Without a doubt, this must be the only godly venerable rank expert in the Lu family, Lu Rulin's grandfather, the previous Lu family patriarch. Boss, what should we do now? If Longao wanted to leave, he only needed to enter his chaotic dantian. However, he did not do so because doing so would bring endless trouble to the Lu family. Since it was his own trouble, then he would solve it himself. Lu family, Ninth Heaven Void. The Lu family's godly venerable rank expert, Lu Iha, looked at Gu Hao in front of him, cupped his fists and said, Brother Gu, I wonder why you've come to my Lu family this time? Humph. Gu Hao coldly snorted. This method was indeed his idea, and he was also guarding the Lu family. Just now, he sensed an aura secretly entering the Lu family. He already knew that what Lu Bo and Lu Rulin said was definitely true. Longao and Lu families, Lu Rulin, were related. Otherwise, he would not have secretly entered the Lu family. Brother Lu, you should know that not long ago, the Domain Lord Alliance issued a kill order, and the target is Longao. Just now, I sense that Longao has secretly sneaked into your Lu family and is related to your precious granddaughter. I wonder how you're going to explain this. Lu Iha indeed did not know about this. He had been in seclusion all year round. If Gu Hao did not suddenly appear here, he would not have come out of seclusion. Lu Feng did not expect things to turn out like this. He immediately used his spiritual sense to tell Gu Hao about what happened before. The more he listened, the gloomier his face became. Of course, Lu Iha knew what this meant. Once again cupping his fists, Lu Iha smiled and said, "Brother Gu, I don't know about this. My Lu family has always been a supporter of the Domain Chief's Mansion and the Domain Lord Alliance, so, before Lu Iha could finish speaking, Gu Hao interrupted him and said, I believe in you, and I also believe in the Lu family. As long as you join hands with me to kill Longao, or subdue him, at that time, the Domain Lord Alliance will reward you heavily." Alright. The situation was critical, and Lu Iha did not dare to refuse. It was a complete joke, and if this matter was misunderstood by the Domain Lord Alliance, then the Lu family would not even know how they died, and would probably fall into eternal damnation. As soon as the two divine masters finished speaking, a man and a beast came out. It was none other than Longao and Little Black. As for Lu Rulin, she was imprisoned by Longao and would automatically be released after a few hours. You are Longao? That's right. Lu Iha had already heard about Longao's matter. His heart was filled with admiration for this person. After all, there were only a few people who dared to do such a thing. In the entire Chaos world, how many people dared to provoke the Domain Lord Alliance? It was simply courting death. Gu Hao had seen Longao's portrait before, so when Longao appeared, Gu Hao was the first person to recognize him. If it was not for Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance, he would definitely turn a blind eye to Longao entering Thunder City. For the sake of the Domain Lord Alliance's killing order, only a fool would do such a thing. However, the situation was different now. The other party actually had the Xianyuan sword, so there was no doubt that the other party must have obtained the inheritance of the old thing. In order to be worry-free in the future, even if the other party was a lunatic, he must kill the other party. Chapter 3068. You obtained his inheritance? Longao obviously knew the meaning of Gu Hao's words. He sneered in his heart. Betraying the sect, ungrateful. One day, I will clean up the sect for my master. With just you? Ha 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 ha. Gu Hao laughed crazily. Previously, he had only heard that Longao was arrogant and was a madman who was not afraid of anything. Without seeing it with his own eyes, he still did not believe it. But now, seeing the other party's arrogance with his own eyes, he sighed. A mere god-king warrior dared to threaten a god-venerable warrior. Either the other party's brain was flooded with water, or he was courting death. He was simply a complete madman. Ignore. I have no enmity with the Lu family. This time, I came here for a small matter. I hope that the Lu family will not interfere in this matter. Otherwise, I will definitely destroy the Lu family in the future. It had nothing to do with the Lu family. He just liked Lu Rulin, his sister. If the Lu family really interfered in this matter, then Longao would definitely not have any mercy. There was only one word: kill. Hearing Longao's words, whether it was Lu Feng or Lu Iha, both of their faces were instantly enraged. Even if they had heard the rumors about Longao, but hearing the other party's words, the two of them could not help but be furious. Not to mention whether or not they would attract the wrath of the Domain Masters Alliance if they did not interfere in this matter. Just their face alone would not allow them to leave. Being threatened by a puny god-king martial artist was simply a humiliation, an enormous humiliation. Longao, who do you think you are? How dare you threaten the Lu family? Although Lu Feng admired this person in his heart, this person was too much. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being impolite. Just as he finished speaking, the chaos axe in Longao's hand was swung out. Axe after axe, it quickly chopped down on the entire Lu family. Longao did not use his full strength. He only wanted the Lu family to know the difficulty and retreat. For Lu Rulan, unless it was a last resort, Longao was not willing to completely fall out with the Lu family and destroy them. The Lius didn't know Longao's difficulties. In the eyes of the Lu clan, this person in front of them was too arrogant. He didn't put the Lu clan in his eyes at all. How could he not be angry? Luiha, Gu Hao, including Lu Feng and the others, all rushed towards Longao. Even before he arrived, his terrifying aura was already stacked on top of one another, crazily suppressing the other party. Longao ignored him. Although he was only a high-level martial king, Longao's primordial spirit was able to contend against a divine emperor. Therefore, it was a joke for him to use his aura to suppress Longao. Luiha and Gu Hao's aura suppression was no small matter. Of course, Longao wouldn't be reckless. There was no need to put himself in danger. He turned around and entered his chaotic dantian. What's going on? Seeing the young man in front of him disappear right before his eyes, Luiha was completely dumbfounded. He realized that his aura was unable to lock onto the young man's position at all. Until now, Luiha still didn't know that Longao possessed a spatial divine tool. However, Gu Hao knew and said, "Brother Lu, Longao has a heaven-defying spatial divine tool. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. How could he have lived until now?" This matter was already something that everyone in the primal chaos realm knew about. Back then, Longao had killed several divine Emperor Realm warriors from the Domain Lords Alliance, and had relied on this heaven-defying starry sky divine tool to leave safely. So that's how it is. Luiha finally knew the truth. In the end, the reason why Longao was so arrogant and crazy was because of the spatial divine tool in his hand. If that was the case, there was nothing they could do. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. Gu Hao's expression became more and more gloomy, more and more unsightly. He had finally locked onto Longao's position with great difficulty. He had thought that he could kill the other party and obtain Xuanyuan's inheritance, but he had never thought that the spatial divine tool in the other party's hands would be so heaven-defying. It was even more powerful than the legends, and even he was unable to lock onto the other party's position. If this person were to escape, even if others were able to kill him, they might still be able to obtain Xuanyuan Bubi's inheritance. At that time, it would still be a troublesome matter for him. "Brother Lu, you and I have locked onto the space here. According to the rumors, although this person can hide in a spatial divine tool, he is unable to use it to leave this place. Brother Gu, even if that's the case, it's not a good idea for us to keep guarding here. Sealing the space here was not very useful. If it was useful, Longao would not have disappeared from under Yi Tian's nose when he killed several god kings. How could Gu Hao not know what Luiha had said? It was just that knowing was one thing, and thinking of a way was another. Let's imprison this person first. Let's think of a way to lock onto this spatial divine tool. The Chaos Realm actually had such a heaven-defying spatial divine tool. It was truly unbelievable. Of course, the two of them knew that even they were unable to lock onto its aura. This in itself already showed how powerful this spatial divine tool was. No wonder this person was so arrogant. No matter who it was, with such a heaven-defying spatial divine tool, they would be arrogant to the extreme. Just a divine king could ignore a divine venerable without fear. Inside the primal chaos dantian, Xiao He scolded angrily, "The Lu family is truly shameless. I will definitely go out and swallow them up later. No need. Longao naturally knew the Lu family's difficulties. After all, in the Chaos Realm, there seemed to be no one who dared to go against the Domain Lord Alliance, so he did not blame the Lu family. Furthermore, there was still Lu Rulan, so even if the Lu family was in the wrong, as long as they did not go too far, Longao was not willing to deal with the Lu family. Boss, if the Lu family continues to help Gu Hao deal with us, could it be that we will also continue to sit and wait for death? Longao clearly knew what Xiao He meant. No matter what, the Lu family was not something that other families could compare to. The Lu family had a divine venerable realm expert overseeing it. If they insisted on dealing with him, it would indeed be a troublesome matter. Xiao He, I've already said it. Unless it's absolutely necessary, don't deal with the Lu family. Do you understand? Looking at the boss in front of him, Xiao He sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what his boss meant? In the end, it was still because of Lu Rulan. Otherwise, his boss would not even put the Domain Lord Alliance in his eyes, let alone a small Lu family. However, since things had already come to this, Xiao He was very clear in his heart that no matter how much he said, his boss would not change his mind. Towards enemies, his boss could be said to be completely ruthless, but towards friends, it was a different matter. Chapter 3069. Gu Hao was furious. Even he had no way to deal with such a heaven-defying spatial divine tool. Gu Hao was only worried about one thing, and that was if Longao refined old man Xuanyuan's inheritance, he would be in big trouble. He had to get rid of the root of the problem to prevent future troubles. What should he do? Soon. The news of Longao entering Thunder City had been sent back to the Domain Lord Alliance. There was no doubt about it. Yi Ditian and the others left and rushed to the Thunder Domain. Thunder City had a total of 3 ultimate gods and more than 20 divine emperors. What kind of concept was that? In the current Thunder City, there were discussions going on everywhere. No one thought that the lunatic who was being chased by the Domain Lord Alliance would come to Thunder City. There were 3 ultimate gods gathered in Thunder City. Even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be difficult for him to resist them. Have you heard? Longao has hidden in the spatial divine tool. Even the 3 ultimate gods can't lock onto the spatial divine tool's location. Of course I have. How could I not have heard of such a big matter? It's unbelievable that there is such a heaven-defying spatial divine tool in this world. Even the 3 ultimate gods can't lock onto it. It would be great if I could have such a spatial divine tool. Everyone was envious. However, many people couldn't understand. Even if Longao had such a heaven-defying spatial divine tool, wasn't he too arrogant to provoke the Domain Lord Alliance? No matter how heaven-defying the spatial divine tool was, Longao's strength was there. He was only a divine king. It was almost impossible for him to fight against the Domain Lord Alliance. At this moment, Lu Clan's aura overlapped everywhere. They were afraid that Longao would leave without anyone noticing. Lu Clan's main hall. Gu Hao, Luiha, and Yi Ditian. The 3 ultimate gods were gathered. Behind each of them stood divine emperors. Everyone's face didn't look good. The Alliance has sent another message. This time, no matter what happens, we can't let Longao leave here. Otherwise, I believe you two know the consequences. Gu Hao and Luiha had bitter smiles on their faces. Gu Hao cupped his fists and said, Brother Yi, you have fought with Longao before, so you should know how heaven-defying the spatial artifact this person possesses is, just by us. He did not continue, but the meaning behind Gu Hao's words was already very clear. How could Yi Ditian not know? In order to locate Longao, he had even lost the painting of the God Slayer. Even now, he had no idea how he was going to explain this to the Great Elder. Although the Great Elder didn't say much, he didn't think that this matter would be resolved. Yi Ditian was almost certain that if he killed Longao, he wouldn't be able to return the god-slaying painting. It wasn't hard to imagine what would happen. I know there are difficulties, but we have to kill Longao as soon as possible. Gu Hao and Lu Yihe both had bitter smiles on their faces. He seemed to have thought of something. Brother Lu, before coming here, I heard that your granddaughter seems to be related to Longao. Why don't we use your granddaughter as bait to lure Longao out? Hearing Yi Ditian's words, Lu Yihe was shocked. Of course, he knew what this meant. If something happened to his granddaughter, he would definitely not want it to happen. Brother Yi, you must be joking. How could my granddaughter be related to Longao? How could Yi Ditian not know what Lu Yihe was thinking? How could he give up such a rare opportunity so easily? It was simply a joke. Brother Lu, this is a mission given by the Alliance. Are you going to go against it? Lu Yihe seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he nodded and agreed. Father, go and bring Rulan out. Lu Feng sighed deeply in his heart. He knew how serious this matter was, so he didn't say anything else. He turned around and quickly left. Not long after, Lu Feng brought Lu Rulan back. Grandfather, are you looking for me? Rulan, I hope that you can help us lure Longao out. Rulan would rather die than let anything happen to Brother Long. She knew Brother Long's personality very well. If her grandfather and the others really wanted to use her as bait, then she could imagine what the outcome would be. Grandfather. Waving his hand, Lu Yihe didn't want to say anything else. He really couldn't bear it. If it was anyone else, then so be it. Only the Domain Lord's alliance was something he couldn't do anything about. After all, no matter how strong the Lu clan was, they couldn't fight against the entire Domain Lord's alliance. Rulan was completely stunned. She never thought that she would encounter such a situation one day. Her grandfather was a powerful godly venerable. Gu Hao and Yi Ditian both laughed in their hearts. They immediately controlled Rulan. With two godly venerable experts locking onto her, Rulan didn't even have the chance to speak. After all, the difference in cultivation between them was too great. Longao, I know you're still here. I'll tell you now. If you don't come out, I'll kill Lu Rulan. When the time comes, I'll seal her soul and make her beg for death. Lu Feng was very angry. However, even his father didn't say anything, so he couldn't say anything. In fact, whether it was Lu Feng or Lu Yihe, both of them knew very well that if Yi Ditian and Gu Hao really killed Rulan, they wouldn't have any temper. After all, this matter was personally ordered by the Domain Lord's alliance. Even if their own clan wanted to take revenge, it was impossible. If they wanted to take revenge on the Domain Lord's alliance, they would have to be tired of living. Yi Ditian and Gu Hao had already decided that even if they had to sacrifice Lu Rulan, they had to lure Longao out. To them, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They couldn't miss it. As for Lu Rulan's life, they didn't care at all. They only wanted Longao. There was no movement. Could it be that the two of them made a mistake? Longao didn't have any relationship with this woman. However, if they didn't have any relationship, why would Longao enter the Lu clan for no reason? It would be a lie to say that the two of them didn't have any relationship. If the two of them didn't restrict him, it wouldn't be difficult for Longao to forcefully bring Lu Rulan into his chaotic dantian. However, now that Lu Rulan was restricted by the two of them, if Longao forcefully made a move, he would definitely be locked onto by the two godly venerable experts. At that time, it would be troublesome. The current chaotic dantian had just been formed, so it wasn't perfect yet. Its greatest advantage was its concealment. If it was locked onto by someone, then even the greatest advantage of the chaotic dantian would instantly disappear. It was precisely because of this that Longao didn't dare to casually make a move. Chapter 3070. If that's the case, then don't blame us for being impolite. Just as the two of them were about to attack, Lu Rulan's figure instantly appeared. In the next second, Longao's position had already been locked onto by the two godly venerable rank warriors. There was no way he could return to his chaotic Dantian. Longao did not regret it at all. Scum. Hearing the word scum from Longao's mouth, Lu Feng and Lu Yihe felt very helpless in their hearts. So what if they were unwilling? No matter how powerful the Lu family was, they could not fight against the Domain Lord Alliance. There was no doubt about it. If they did not sacrifice Rulin, once the Domain Lord Alliance really attacked the Lu family, then things would be troublesome. Therefore, in front of the family, personal interests were too small. Longao, you're relying on nothing more than your spatial artifact. Now that we've locked onto you, do you think you can still escape? Gu Hao and Yi Ditian were very excited and surprised. They finally locked onto Longao. With just the two of you? With a calm face, Longao still did not have the slightest fear. The more he was like this, the less confident the two of them were. Did the other party have something to rely on? Since things had already come to this, the two of them naturally would not choose to give up so easily. One by one, they quickly left. With three godly venerable rank warriors working together, not to mention dealing with a small godly king, even a godly venerable rank warrior would not be able to fight against three godly venerable rank warriors. Lu Rulin knew very well that if it were not for her, Brother Long would not have appeared so easily and would not have fallen into the other party's trap. Everything was because of her. If it were not for her, or if she was already dead, then Brother Long would not have any worries. Thinking of this, Brother Long, I like you. I've liked you since the first time I saw you. Listening to Rulin's words that came out of nowhere. Whether it was Longao or Lu Feng, both of them seemed to have guessed something. The two of them anxiously roared at the same time, no. However, it was already too late. Rulin's primordial spirit self-destructed. Even Longao and Lu Feng did not have the chance to stop her. Seeing Rulin die in front of him, Longao let out a painful roar towards the sky. Boss, let's go. Little He, who had just appeared, saw that Lu Rulin had chosen to detonate her primordial spirit. How could he not understand why she had done so? She did not want to implicate his boss. Such a woman was worthy of admiration. Xiao He also wanted to take revenge, but his rationality told him that it was absolutely impossible. Boss was already enraged. If he didn't calm down, there would only be one outcome, and that was to be killed by the other party. Longao did not move at all. His eyes were slowly turning red, and his entire body was emitting endless demonic qi, which was very shocking. Demonization. Xiao He was shocked when he felt the demonic aura coming from his boss's body. It was obvious that he was possessed again. Boss's frequent bedevilment was definitely not beneficial to his own cultivation. Boss. Before Xiao He could finish speaking, it disappeared from where it was. Longao had forcefully sent it into his primal chaos Dantian. As soon as he sent Blackie into his chaotic Dantian, Longao's eyes were completely lost. The devil chi on his body was getting stronger and stronger, like a devil chi tornado, directly enveloping him. Yi Ditian and the others didn't continue to attack. Instead, they stared blankly at the young man before them. Demonization for the second time? The first time Longao was possessed was when he killed the Black Stone Heavenly Region's domain lord, Nangongchen. However, for some reason, Longao was able to wake up. However, the more he was possessed, the easier it was to deal with him. After a short moment of shock, the three godly venerable rank warriors immediately rushed towards Longao, each of them emitting endless killing intent. Lu Feng looked at his daughter who had already collapsed and gently picked her up. He didn't resent Longao because he knew very well that he didn't have the right to do so. He didn't attack earlier, which meant that he had given up on Rulin. Rulin, father has let you down. Looking at his daughter's body, Lu Feng slowly turned and left. 3 godly venerable rank warriors and more than 20 godly emperors joined forces. It could be said that heaven and earth changed colors. When they attacked wildly, it was obvious how terrifying their power was. Longao's strength would definitely increase after he became possessed. However, Yi Ditian and the others didn't think much of it. A mere godly king warrior wouldn't be able to fight against a godly venerable rank warrior even if he became possessed. This was without a doubt. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had already engaged in a fierce battle. Longao's strength had increased to that of a peak godly king. However, it was almost impossible for him to advance any further. Even so, Longao directly released the divine punishment, 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 divine punishment. Divine punishment, divine punishment, divine punishment, divine punishment. Divine punishment. Divine emperors felt their primordial spirits begin to collide violently. They were very shocked and simply didn't know what was going on. Quickly stop him. The three godly venerable rank warriors were very shocked because they realized that Longao wasn't afraid of their attacks at all. After forcefully resisting their combined attack, he directly charged towards the godly emperors. As long as one wasn't a fool, they would be able to see that Longao's target wasn't them, but the so-called godly emperors. However, it made sense after thinking about it. With Longao's strength, even if he became possessed, he would only be able to fight against a godly emperor at most. Moreover, he would only be a beginner godly emperor. He wouldn't be able to fight against a mid-level godly emperor, let alone a godly venerable rank warrior. Kacha, kacha, kacha. Under the suppression of the divine punishment, Longao instantly killed two beginner godly emperors and a mid-level godly emperor. Not only that, he did not hesitate and immediately charged towards the other godly emperor. The rest of the godly emperors were completely dumbfounded. They had seen arrogant and powerful people, but they had never seen such a powerful person. His opponent was only a senior divine king. Even if he became possessed and became a peak godly king, he still wouldn't be able to fight against a mid-level godly emperor. It was already incredible that he could kill a beginner godly emperor. Not to mention the others, even the other three godly venerable rank warriors found it hard to believe. The more it was so, the more the three of them dared not hesitate and immediately charged towards Longao with all their might. Currently, Longao didn't seem to know pain. He would rather be hit by three godly venerable rank warriors to kill a godly emperor. Even though Longao had become possessed, he knew very well that it was impossible for him to kill a godly venerable rank warrior. Why should he waste his time? He might as well use all his strength to kill the godly emperors. The three godly venerable rank warriors certainly knew what Longao meant. They were very angry. If they didn't kill this person today, how could they continue to stay in the chaotic world? Another beginner divine emperor was killed. The four godly emperors who died were all from the domain chief's mansion. Gu Hao's heart ached to the extreme. Chapter 3071. Among the dozens of divine emperors that Yi Ditian brought, the weakest was a high-level divine emperor. That was right. It was impossible for Longao to kill a high-level divine emperor or a peak divine emperor. Gu Hao was unlucky. This was not the way to go. Gu Hao ordered and the remaining low-level and mid-level divine emperors retreated. But in the next moment, crack! A mid-level divine emperor from the Lu clan was cut in half by Longao's axe. He could not be more dead. The situation of the Lu clan was incomparable to the other two. There were only 4 divine emperors in the Lu clan. Each of them was a treasure. They were carefully worshipped, afraid that something might happen. But one had to know. In Thunder City, the strength of the 3 great clans was about the same. If they were to continuously lose divine emperors, it would be a huge blow to the Lu family, regardless of whether Longao lived or died after this battle. Seeing the divine emperors being killed, Lu Yihe was scared out of his wits. "The three of you retreat, retreat, retreat." The remaining 3 divine emperors retreated hurriedly. But Longao did not plan to give up. With a stride, Longao's speed increased to the extreme. He continuously slashed out with the primal chaos axe. But at this moment, under the joint attack of the 3 hierarch experts, Longao's body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. Pucci. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Longao could not hold on any longer. But Longao, who had already turned into a demon, did not want to enter his chaotic dantian. The only thought in his mind was to kill all the divine emperors. After the endless murderous aura in his body merged with the demonic aura, Longao had completely gone crazy. But facing the joint attack of the 3 hierarch experts, he would definitely die if this continued. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Lu Yihe's heart ached. Whether Longao lived or died, it had nothing to do with him. If he knew this would happen, he would not have interfered even if he was beaten to death. But it was too late to regret now. "Longao, you have no way out. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you surrender without a fight, perhaps we will leave your corpse intact." The current Longao could not hear what the other party was saying at all. There was only slaughter. Only slaughter could quell the anger in his heart. "Kill!" Stubborn. Yi Ditian and Gu Hao both came out at the same time. As for Lu Yihe, he did not make a move. After losing a divine emperor, his heart ached so much that he wanted to die. Seeing that Lu Yihe did not make a move, the 2 of them did not say anything either. Of course, the 2 of them knew what losing a god emperor meant to the Lu clan. Fortunately, they only lost 1 god king. If they lost 1 more, then it would be difficult for them to continue to be the leader of the 3 clans in the future. Boom, boom, boom. Longao was already heavily injured, so of course he couldn't continue to resist. His speed was much slower. Under the continuous attacks, Longao's body was directly smashed deep into the ground. Xiao He, who was in his chaotic dantian, was worried to the extreme. However, this was his boss' chaotic dantian. It was impossible for him to leave this place alone. He knew very well that his boss had already turned into a demon. Even if his strength increased slightly, he would not be a match for the 3 supreme gods. If this continued, there would only be one result. Even if his boss didn't die, he would probably enter the cycle of reincarnation again. What kind of concept was that? Once his boss entered the cycle of reincarnation, it would be impossible for him to be reborn and reawaken his primordial spirit again. Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if his boss could reawaken his primordial spirit, what would happen after 10,000 years? By then, it would be too late. However, Xiao He had no idea what to do now. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't anxious. The battle outside was still going on. Longao was starting to be unable to withstand it. Moreover, his demonic aura and murderous aura had blocked most of the attack. Otherwise, he would have already entered the cycle of reincarnation. Longao's situation was very special. It seemed that his primordial spirit and dantian were both indestructible. However, under the Chaos Tao there was no such thing as immortality. Therefore, ordinary people could not really destroy him. Even so, if the 3 supreme gods attacked consecutively, Longao would probably enter the cycle of reincarnation again. Once 10,000 years had passed, the consequences would be unimaginable. If it was under normal circumstances, Longao would definitely not act rashly, especially when facing 3 supreme gods. He would have to enter his chaotic dantian or turn around and leave. However, the situation was completely different now. Longao only had killing in his heart. Only killing. It was as if he would not stop until he had killed everyone here. Killing. Just as the 2 supreme gods were about to attack and kill Longao, the situation suddenly changed. The chaos axe in Longao's hand suddenly let out a dragon's roar. In the blink of an eye, a huge monster appeared in the void of the ninth heaven, releasing a terrifying dragon's aura. It was very terrifying. What's that? It looks like one of the 10 chaos divine beasts, the 9-headed dragon python. How is that possible? It's just a remnant soul. The 9-headed dragon python, one of the 10 chaos divine beasts and the ancestor of the dragon clan. Its strength was needless to say. However, the ancestor of the dragon clan had fallen many years ago. Including the dragon clan, all of them were destroyed in the chaotic realm. It was unknown whether there were still any giant dragons in the chaotic realm. The two supreme gods and the people behind them were completely dumbfounded. They looked at the huge figure behind Longao. Although they did not say anything, they still did not dare to act rashly. Who knew how powerful the 9-headed dragon python's shadow was? Longao, who was originally possessed by the demon, instantly woke up because of the drop of blood essence left behind by the 9-headed dragon python. He also knew what was going on. Although his chaos axe was reforged with a drop of the 9-headed dragon python's dragon blood, the little bit of power left in it saved him at the critical moment. Thank you. Longao knew what the 9-headed dragon python meant and was very grateful. He knew that if it was not for the sudden appearance of the 9-headed dragon python's blood essence, he would be in big trouble this time. Forcefully suppressing the anger in his heart, Longao chose to give up in the end. The 9-headed dragon python's blood essence did not have any attacking power, it could only be considered a deterrent. If Fu Gu Hao and Yi Ditian were to make a move at this time, he would definitely not be able to withstand it. As for the remaining 9-headed dragon python's power, it would instantly collapse. In the next second, Longao's figure had already disappeared, and he entered the primal chaos Dantian. Gu Hao and Yi Ditian were dumbfounded. The two of them never thought that Longao would suddenly enter the spatial artifact. The two of them were not fools, they instantly knew that the other party was bluffing. Such a rare opportunity was missed just like that. Chapter 3072. Regret. But now, there was no use in regretting. Originally, this was a foolproof plan, but who would have thought that the two of them would be tricked by the other party? How could he not be angry? But what was the use of being angry? Inside his chaotic Dantian, Longao didn't have any regrets. Lu Rulin chose to explode her primordial spirit for him so that she wouldn't drag him down. The endless killing intent caused him to directly enter the demonic state. Longao was very clear in his heart just how big the aftereffects of falling to the devil for the second time were. Fortunately, he had the help of the 9-headed dragon python's blood essence. Otherwise, he would have been doomed. Boss, you scared me to death. Don't do this next time. I can't take it. He forced a smile. Xiaohei, let's go. Go? Yi Ditian and Gu Hao were still imprisoning the Lu family. They only took advantage of the moment when the two of them weren't paying attention to leave quietly. They didn't leave the Lu family. They hid their aura. Lu Feng stood quietly in front of a memorial tablet in the ancestral hall of the back mountain. This was the memorial tablet he had just set up for his daughter. You actually dare to come out? Why wouldn't I dare? Lu Feng already knew what had happened. A person who had entered the demonic state could actually wake up. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. However, he felt very guilty for his daughter. If you hadn't come to the Lu family this time, Rulin wouldn't have died. Longao felt very guilty towards Rulin. I will personally avenge Rulin. Longao stood quietly in front of Rulin's memorial tablet. Neither of the two men spoke again. They just stood there. The next day, dusk. Yi Ditian and Gu Hao seemed to be in a hurry. They started to increase their strength, but no matter what they did, they couldn't lock onto each other's position. This wasn't the way to go. What should they do? Both sides were in a stalemate. Longao couldn't smoothly leave the Lu family, and it was impossible for the two of them to lock onto Longao's position. In this way, both sides were competing in time and patience. Longao didn't care. He could cultivate in his chaotic dantian anyway. This time, forcefully using the instant of divine punishment gave Longao a new experience. He put his heart and soul into cultivation, hoping that he could reach the level of divine punishment as soon as possible and comprehend the pinnacle of divine punishment. The Domain Masters Alliance didn't send anyone else. The entire Thunder Heavenly Domain was stirred up. A lunatic. He was definitely a lunatic. However, such a lunatic was indeed worthy of respect. Not only did he provoke the Territorial Lords Alliance, but he even killed several divine emperors while being besieged by 3 ultimate gods. What kind of concept was that? Once the news came out, everyone was shocked once again. Including the godly emperors Longao had killed before, the number of godly emperors from the Domain Lords Alliance had probably exceeded 2 digits. It was terrifying. If the other party was an ultimate god, it would be fine even if he was only a peak divine emperor or a high-level divine emperor. However, according to the rumors, Longao was only a divine king. Even now, he was only a high-level divine king, not even a peak divine king. What an unimaginable thing! Longao became more and more famous in the chaotic realm. Everyone already knew that he was a lunatic who wasn't afraid of anything. He was only a divine king, yet he dared to provoke the Domain Lords Alliance and killed many divine emperors. Even ultimate gods couldn't do anything to him. The Domain Lords Alliance's reputation gradually declined. It would be a lie to say that it wasn't affected. But what was the result? Although the Domain Lords Alliance had issued a kill order, it didn't seem to be as strong as imagined. Many people couldn't understand what was going on. Lu Clan, Lu Bo and Lu Chong were extremely regretful. If they knew that doing so would kill their cousin, they wouldn't do it even if they were beaten to death. However, it was too late to regret now. However, the result that awaited them was undoubtedly death. They didn't know if Gu Hao did it on purpose to tell Lu Yihe about the two of them. Without a doubt, Lu Yihe directly executed the two of them in secret. Everyone knew that if the two of them didn't think they were smart and wanted to kill with a borrowed knife, their granddaughter wouldn't have died so tragically. "Father, now that Rulin is dead, are we going to keep guarding?" How could Lu Yihe not know what his son meant? After thinking for a while, Lu Yihe said bitterly, "Feng I know what you mean, but we're already riding a tiger. If we withdraw, do you think the Domain Lords Alliance will let us go so easily?" The Domain Lords Alliance was like a huge monster in front of them. A small clan wanted to fight against the entire Domain Lords Alliance. It was simply throwing an egg at a rock. If the Domain Lords Alliance wanted to destroy the Lu clan, it would be done in a matter of minutes. Lu Feng also said with a bitter face, "Father, Rulin's death has already woken us up. If this continues, I'm afraid we won't have a good ending." Lu Feng was very clear in his heart that Yi Ditian and Gu Hao would definitely drag them down with them. The Lu clan couldn't be compared to them. One divine emperor had already died, and there were still 3 divine emperors left. Longao's strength was there for all to see. If even the remaining 3 divine emperors died, at that time, not to mention continuing to be the head of the 3 great clans, whether or not they could enter the top 3 would be the biggest problem. However, at this time, they couldn't retreat even if they wanted to. Not to mention the Domain Lords Alliance, just Yi Ditian and Gu Hao wouldn't agree to it. "Feng from now on, don't make a move against Longao. I'm enough." Lu Yihe was very clear that no matter how strong Longao was, he still couldn't fight against a hierarch. In this way, as long as the other members of the Lu clan didn't make a move, then the losses would be minimized. Since things had already come to this, Lu Feng also knew that there was no way to deal with it properly. He only hoped that Longao could leave the Lu clan as soon as possible. After all, He didn't want to see Longao die here. He more or less admired this young man. The three hierarchs gathered in the main hall. The faces of the three of them were very solemn because no one knew if Longao was still in the Lu family. However, the three of them guessed that they had been using their aura to imprison this place. According to the previous situation, Longao should not have left yet. Otherwise, Longao would have left long ago. The fact that this spatial divine tool could avoid being locked on by their auras was already unbelievable. If it could still leave under their auras, then it would be too heaven-defying. If that was really the case, then even if Longao's strength wasn't enough, he could completely ignore them. After all, as long as he hid in the spatial divine tool, he would be safe. Chapter 3073. Longao and Xiao He did not leave the Lu family. One man and one beast began to take revenge. Longao thought of all kinds of ways to kill the two divine emperors. There were more than 20 divine emperors under Gu Hao and Yi Ditian. What kind of concept was that? The beginner and intermediate divine emperors had all left. The rest of the divine emperors were all high-level divine emperors. Not to mention Longao alone, even if Longao and Xiao He worked together, they wouldn't be able to kill a high-level divine emperor. It was also very depressing. Boss, it's very difficult for us to kill people above the high-level divine emperor. What should we do? Xiao He was very clear that there was no point in staying here. It was better to think of a way to leave as soon as possible. However, Xiao He knew that with the explosion of Lu Rulan's primordial spirit, Boss's heart was filled with guilt and self-blame. How could Longao not know what Xiao He meant? Thinking about it, Xiao He, when I created the 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra, I also created a secret technique that could instantly increase my strength. He was startled. Xiao He obviously knew what the secret technique Boss was talking about. He immediately said impatiently, Boss, you should also know that forcefully using this secret technique will bring you a lot of trouble. It will even affect your Tao confirmation 10,000 years later. Is it worth it? In Xiao He's opinion, this was indeed not worth it. If it was any other time, Longao would not be willing to use this secret technique unless it was absolutely necessary. It was just that Rulan's primordial spirit exploded because of him. If he did not take revenge, he would not be able to swallow this anger. Longao calculated that if he could use the secret technique and had external help, he should be able to kill a high-level divine emperor. As for whether he could, that was still unknown. There are some things that should be done and some things that should not be done. Even if I can't kill Gu Hao and the other two, I will find a few people to accompany Rulan in death. Looking at Boss in front of him, how could Xiao He not know Boss's determination and character? No matter how much he said, it was useless. What should he do? Xiao He was very clear about what it meant when Boss used the secret technique. Boss, don't use the secret technique anymore. If it affects the Tao affirmation 10,000 years later, we won't even have the chance to regret it. Before Longao could say anything, Xiao He said, Boss, I have a way to deal with high-level godly emperors, even peak godly emperors. He was very curious. What is it? He had a bad feeling about this. After all, if Xiao He could kill high-level godly emperors or peak godly emperors, he would have done it long ago. Boss, send me out. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Longao and Little Black instantly left the primal chaos Dantian. If something really happened to Little Black, he would immediately send Little Black into the primal chaos Dantian. What should Xiao He do? Boss, I will fall into a deep sleep in a while. But don't worry, I will wake up soon. He was startled. Hearing Xiao He's words, Longao had already guessed what Xiao He wanted to do. He immediately sent Xiao He into his chaotic Dantian. However, the current Blackie was unwilling to enter the chaotic Dantian. Even Longao could not do anything about it. Xiao He no. Even though revenge was important, Xiao Hei's safety was even more important. He could not let anything happen to Xiao Hei. If Xiao Hei were to overdraw on his inheritance, even though his cultivation base would not be able to break through to godly emperor state, his devouring heaven's mystic power would increase exponentially. Based on Xiao Hei's calculations, he could definitely devour high-level godly emperors, or even peak godly emperors. The three gods who were locking on to Longao's location suddenly felt a horrifying aura descending upon them. All three of them were startled. Immediately after, Xiao Hei's gigantic body descended and charged towards the 20-odd god emperors, devouring them madly. Courting death. The three gods were enraged. How dare he attack their subordinates, right under their noses? This was a blatant provocation. How could they be satisfied if they did not kill this beast? However, the three of them had underestimated Xiao Hei's strength. After overdrawing on his inheritance, Xiao Hei's devouring heaven's mystic power increased exponentially. Even the gods could not kill Xiao Hei now. One of the top 10 chaos heavenly beasts was no joke. Crack, crack, crack. All the god emperors were dumbfounded. They had seen powerful heavenly beasts before, but this was the first time they had seen one this strong. Everyone, run! That beast is using some sort of secret skill. Gu Hao and Yi Ditian were dumbfounded. Both of them knew that if it were any other normal beast, how could it possibly devour high-level godly emperors, let alone peak godly emperors? But the situation was different now. They could clearly sense that the other party must have used some sort of secret skill to cause his strength to increase exponentially. In just a few seconds, multiple god emperors had been devoured forcefully. If this were to carry on, the fate of the remaining god emperors could be imagined. Longao was extremely grateful to Xiao Hei in his heart. He knew that Xiao Hei was only doing this because of this. But it was too late for regrets now. The only thing he could do now was to kill the god emperors. If he were to do it alone, he would not be able to do it. But with Xiao Hei's frenzied devouring, the surrounding god emperors were already in a state of chaos. No one would have thought that he would sneak up on them. Using his chaos dantian, Longao's figure appeared instantly. Looking at the god emperor who had his back facing him, and a peak godly emperor at that, Longao swung out his chaos axe without hesitation. If this were any other time, this peak godly emperor would definitely be able to sense the aura behind him. But right now, his entire focus was on the heavenly beast before him, and he knew nothing about it. Kacha the chaos axe in Longao's hand chopped the peak godly emperor into two halves, and he could not be more dead. Longao and Xiao Hei joined hands, and under the siege of three hierarch experts, they had already killed dozens of god emperors in a blink of an eye. But at this moment, Xiao Hei could not hold on any longer. In the next second, the man and the beast both disappeared. Looking at the corpses on the ground, Gu Hao and Yi Ditian suppressed the anger in their hearts. For the three of them, this was simply a humiliation, a great humiliation. Dozens of god emperors were killed right under their noses. If this matter were to spread out, they would know what the result would be. Endless anger. Inside his chaos dantian. Xiao Hei, I'm sorry. Longao naturally knew what Xiao Hei had done. Xiao Hei had overdrawn his inheritance to increase the power of the devouring heaven's divine ability by a lot. Otherwise, how could they have killed dozens of god emperors consecutively? Chapter 3074. The current Xiao Hei was already very weak. The direct consequence of forcefully overdrafting his inheritance was to be unconscious for a period of time. As for how long he would be unconscious, that was unknown. Looking at the unconscious Xiao Hei, Longao didn't say anything. He just watched quietly. It was all because of Yi Ditian, Gu Hao, and even Luiha. If it wasn't for them, Xiao Hei wouldn't have fallen into a deep sleep, and Ruolan wouldn't have died from the explosion of her primordial spirit. Clenching his fists tightly, Longao's heart was filled with endless killing intent. In the end, reason suppressed the impulse. Longao knew very well that with his current situation, it was impossible for him to be a match for the three hierarch warriors. If he wanted to forcefully fight them, not only would he not be able to take revenge, he might even lose his life. As the saying goes, 10 years is not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. The most important thing now was to think of a way to increase his strength as soon as possible. He had just broken through to the advanced Divine King realm. Not to mention the Divine Emperor realm, he was still a step away from the peak Divine King realm. Longao was very regretful. If he knew that awakening his primordial spirit would affect his cultivation speed, he wouldn't have awakened his primordial spirit so quickly. Even if you beat Longao to death, he wouldn't have thought that things would turn out like this. It was too late for regret. As for the reason, even Longao didn't know. No matter how he thought about it, he still couldn't figure it out. He was very helpless. In the following time, Longao began to cultivate. Other than breaking through to the peak Divine King realm as soon as possible, he also cultivated his first ability, the Divine Punishment's peak instant. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. Yi Ditian and Gu Hao had already chosen to give up. In their opinion, Longao might have already left. Everyone knew that the divine beast beside Longao had used some kind of secret technique to kill several divine emperors. If nothing unexpected happened, this divine beast should have already been devoured by the power. As for Longao, there was no doubt that as long as Longao's brain wasn't filled with water, he would definitely choose to leave. There was no point in continuing to stay. The battle of the Lu family shook the entire Chaos Realm's 99 heavens. 3 divine venerables and more than 20 divine emperors joined forces to kill a divine king and a level 5 divine beast. Under normal circumstances, the man and beast would have died without a doubt. But what was the result? The result was out of everyone's expectations. Not only did the man and the beast survive, but the 3 ultimate gods had dozens of divine emperors killed. What kind of concept was that? What a powerful Longao. The first heavenly region. Domain Lord's Alliance. Song Hao and Song Han were pleasantly surprised when they heard the news. They had never thought that Longao would bring them such a pleasant surprise. Killing dozens of divine emperors in a row, Shi Xiangfei would be heartbroken. In order to deplete Shi's strength, it was worth sacrificing more people. Big brother, Longao's potential is too great. We have to do something. Otherwise, it will be difficult to win him over in the future. Song Han was very anxious. Longao's talent and potential, including his strength, could be said to be the best among his peers. It was completely imaginable that such a person would have great achievements in the future. Seeing that his big brother was not anxious, Song Han said impatiently, "There's no use in adding flowers to the brocade. It's more important to help when one is in need. If we lose this opportunity, we will definitely regret it in the future." Song Han was completely depressed. He did not know what his big brother was thinking. Could it be that he could sit back and relax just because of the relationship between Lin and Longao? If that was the case, then he was too unkind. He sighed deeply. How could Song Hao not understand the meaning of his second brother's words? As the Lord of the Domain Lord's Alliance, he had to consider more things than his second brother before doing anything. One should not meddle in politics when one was not in position. Second brother, do you know what it means if we take action now? Once the other elders know about this, they will all support Shi. At that time, we will be even more passive. Are we just going to sit here and wait for death? Endure. If we want to succeed in one strike, we have to endure. Otherwise, even if we win in the end, it will be a huge loss for the Domain Lord's Alliance. Second brother, we can't lose, and we can't afford to lose. Do you understand? Song Han was very clear about his big brother's character. If he was not willing to take action now, then it meant that his big brother would definitely not take action. No matter what he said, it would be useless. He sighed deeply in his heart. He watched Sure deal with Longao like this, but he and his big brother couldn't do anything. If it was said that Longao didn't feel the slightest bit unhappy, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe it. Have you received any news? Where is Longao now? I don't know. Ever since the battle in Thunder City, Longao seemed to have completely disappeared. It has been 20 years. Yi Ditian and Gu Hao have already left. If there are no accidents, Longao should have left Thunder City 20 years ago. Song Hao heaved a sigh of relief. Of course, Song Hao wanted to help this kid, but the situation did not allow it. He also hoped that Longao was safe and had his own daughter. Song Hao was very clear about Lin Er's character. Since Lin Er had already decided on Longao, then there was no doubt that she would not change her mind so easily. Go and check where Longao is. Song Han shook his head and said, Big brother, I want to help Longao secretly. What do you think? No, Sure is waiting for us to take action. According to the information I received, he has already started to contact the other elders. Once we take action, Song Hao did not finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. He could not take the passive position for a Longao. Got it? Song Han turned and left. He did not want to stay for a moment longer. In the study, only Song Hao was left. He smiled helplessly and muttered to himself, Longao, I hope you won't disappoint me. Song Lin had already left the Domain Lord Alliance. With the protection of the ancient golden dragon, Song Hao and Song Han were not too worried. Otherwise, how could the two of them let Song Lin leave so easily? It was just that the chaotic realm was so big. It was not difficult for Song Lin to find Longao's location. Unfortunately, the incident at Thunder City was too sensational. Almost everyone in the chaotic realm knew about it. After leaving, Song Lin was already rushing towards Thunder City. However, she encountered many troubles along the way and was delayed for 20 years before she successfully arrived at Thunder City. However, the delay was too long. By the time Song Lin arrived, it was already too late. Domain Lord Manor. Yi Ditian had already left the Thunder Domain. As the Domain Lord of Thunder City, Gu Hao naturally could not leave. Hearing that the daughter of the Domain Lord Alliance had entered Thunder City, Gu Hao felt helpless. Chapter 3075. Gu Hao already knew about the relationship between Longao and Song Lin. If it was anyone else, he would definitely capture Song Lin and lure Longao out. Only Song Lin. Gu Hao did not dare. Because Gu Hao was very clear that if he dared to deal with Song Lin, then Song Hao would definitely deal with him. Provoked Song Hao? Unless he was tired of living. Song Lin entered Thunder City and inquired about Longao everywhere. The result? Longao seemed to have become a taboo word in Thunder City. No matter who Song Lin asked, no one answered. The more it was like this, the more worried Song Lin was. Rumor had it that Longao had successfully left Thunder City. As for whether he had left or not, it was still unknown. Big Brother Gu, can you sense Big Brother Long's aura? The golden ancient dragon's voice followed. I can't sense it. Song Lin's face was bitter. She did not know how Big Brother Long was doing. Inside the primal chaos Dantian. After 20 years of cultivation, Longao slowly opened his eyes. His face was filled with surprise. His cultivation had successfully broken through from high-level Divine King to peak Divine King. He was only one step away from reaching the Divine Emperor realm. As for the first divine ability, Heavenly Punishment Divine ability had also reached the peak of instant. It was a pleasant surprise. After both of them broke through, Longao was very clear that the most important thing was to break through to the Divine Emperor realm as soon as possible and comprehend the second divine ability, Dao extermination divine ability. He stood up. Even if it's a high-level divine emperor, I can use God's punishment to kill him instantly. Longao was very confident in his God's punishment instant. Previously, he could kill a beginner divine emperor. Now that he had comprehended instant and his cultivation had broken through to peak divine king, he could definitely kill a high-level divine emperor. As for whether he could kill a divine emperor warrior, it was still unknown. However, if he went all out, he should be able to do it. This was the pinnacle of the god's punishment. The power of the god's punishment was instantaneous. Looking at Little Black, who was still asleep in front of him, Longao blamed himself and felt guilty. If it wasn't for his stubbornness, Little Black wouldn't be like this. No one knew when Little Black would wake up. I will think of a way to wake you up as soon as possible. After leaving the primal chaos realm, Longao did not disguise himself. Instead, he openly appeared in Thunder City. Is that Longao? F***ck, it really is Longao. Didn't he already leave Thunder City? He's really something. He killed so many divine emperors, and he still dares to appear in Thunder City. Seeing Longao walking openly on the street, everyone in the surroundings sighed. Each and every one of them looked at him in shock, as if they had encountered something unimaginable. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such an arrogant person. Gu Hao, who was inside the domain chief's mansion, quickly received the news. He was also very surprised, as he never thought that Longao would actually not leave Thunder City. In the next second, Gu Hao had already disappeared from the domain chief's manor. Longao, you are too arrogant. He was not surprised at all. Longao was so open and aboveboard because he wanted to see Gu Hao, but he did not want to enter the domain chief's manor. He did not know why, but he always felt that Gu Hao was not that simple. It was better to be outside. If he entered the domain chief's manor and encountered an accident, wouldn't the gains not make up for the losses? Gu Hao, you and I will definitely have a battle in the future, and I am about to leave Thunder City. When I advance to the divine venerable realm in the future, I will definitely return to Thunder City and kill you to clean up the sect for my master. If it was anyone else who dared to say this, they would probably be a dead man by now. Only Longao had a fearless face. Gu Hao suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, "Do you think you can leave Thunder City alive?" Ha 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 ha. Gu Hao, do you think you can keep me here? Indeed, he could not keep him here. Gu Hao's face was very gloomy. If he could keep him here, he would have done so 20 years ago. Why wait until now? As a dignified master of a domain, and a divine venerable martial artist at that, he couldn't do anything to a mere divine king martial artist. It was simply a humiliation, a great humiliation. Longao, there are no grudges between us, and Xianyuan Bubi is already a dead man. I can guarantee that as long as you hand over the Xianyuan sword and his inheritance, from today onwards, the grudges between us will be written off. How about it? In the end, Gu Hao still chose to compromise. This was because Gu Hao was very worried. Once Longao left this place and refined the old man's inheritance, it would be very disadvantageous for him. As for whether Longao was alive or dead, he did not care at all. The only thing he cared about was Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance. Shameless, shameless thing. He turned around and left. Longao was too lazy to say anything more to Gu Hao. If it wasn't for the fact that his current strength was not enough to kill Gu Hao, he would have already made his move. There would be a day when he would be back. How could Gu Hao let Longao leave so easily? He directly took a step forward, and his entire figure shot out. Both of his palms continuously slashed out, and the shadows of his palms flickered continuously. However, Longao, who was already prepared, directly dodged and said with a smile, "You can't do anything to me. Let me give you a piece of advice. It's best if you don't act rashly. Otherwise, I will destroy Thunder City." In the surroundings, many people saw Longao being so arrogant and domineering, and all of them sighed. A mere divine king actually dared to contend against a domain lord like this. It was simply unheard of. Even if they saw it with their own eyes, it was still a little hard to believe. With just you? At the peak of divine punishment, in the blink of an eye, Gu Hao suddenly felt a strange power descending from all directions, as if it was punishing someone, and even he was a little unable to resist it. He jumped in fright, and did not dare to hesitate at all, immediately releasing all the power in his body to attack. But by the time he had completely broken through the power, he had already discovered that Longao had already disappeared without a trace. Of course, Gu Hao knew how terrifying the power Longao had just used was, but one had to know that the other party was only a divine king. If his cultivation broke through the divine emperor realm, or even the divine venerable realm, even he would not be able to withstand it. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Previously, he only wanted to take back Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance, so that he wouldn't have to worry about the future. But now, the situation was completely different. Gu Hao clenched his fists tightly, and said coldly, "No matter where you go, I will tear you into 10,000 pieces." Just as Longao was about to leave Thunder City, he suddenly sensed Song Lin's aura, and was extremely shocked. He didn't know why Sister Lin would come to Thunder City at this time, but he wouldn't allow anything to happen to Lin. He took a step forward, and directly rushed towards the direction of the aura. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared without a trace. Chapter 3076. Where is he? Looking at the empty restaurant, Longao was completely dumbfounded. Just now, he had clearly sensed that Sister Lin was here. Why did Sister Lin disappear into thin air in just a few minutes? His face was gloomy. Longao was very clear that Sister Lin had the protection of the Golden Ancient Dragon. Even if Shi came personally, he wouldn't be able to take Sister Lin away without anyone noticing. What was going on? His expression became uglier and uglier. Longao had a bad feeling in his heart. He always felt that something might have happened to Sister Lin, but he still couldn't believe it. In the next second, Gu Hao's body appeared. "Gu Hao, was it you?" "Humph." Longao could be considered to be desperate. With just Gu Hao's strength, how could he silently take Sister Lin away? If it was Sister Lin alone, it would be fine, but now, Sister Lin had the protection of the Golden Ancient Dragon by her side. What kind of concept was that? Even Gu Hao was far from being a match for the other party. If he wanted to forcefully take Sister Lin away, he would have to go crazy. Not to mention whether Gu Hao could do it with his strength. Just based on Sister Lin's identity, Gu Hao would not dare to do so easily. Longao, hand over the inheritance. Gu Hao did not attack immediately, because he knew that in a situation where he was unable to hit the target with a single strike, once he alerted the enemy, Longao would definitely escape far away. At that time, it would be difficult for him to lock onto the other party. Scram! Gu Hao never thought that Longao would actually take the initiative to attack him, but before he could retaliate, the other party had already turned around and left quickly. He did not chase because Gu Hao was helpless. So what if he caught up? The spatial divine tool Longao possessed was simply too heaven-defying. Not to mention one person, even if the three of them worked together, they would not be able to lock onto the other party's position. Longao was very worried. He had no idea what was going on with Sister Lin. "Ha ha ha, Longao, if you want to save your lover, come to the Death Soul Valley 100 miles away from Thunder City." Sure? Longao was shocked. Sure was just a divine lord. How could he be a match for the Golden Ancient Dragon? But you have to know. The Ancient Golden Dragon was a genuine level 9 divine beast. It had surpassed the Emperor God and reached the legendary God ancestor. In other words, even if Sure was a godly ancestor who was above the ultimate God realm, It was impossible for him to control the ancient golden dragon without making a sound. Since things had already turned out this way, Longao naturally did not have the slightest bit of hesitation. He immediately stood up and headed towards the Valley of Souls. Despite knowing that there are tigers on the mountain, one still goes up the mountain. For Sister Lin, Longao didn't care whether it was a mountain of knives or a sea of fire. Death Soul Valley. It was one of the most dangerous places in the Thunder Heavenly Domain. It wasn't a forbidden area, but very few people dared to step into it. Death Soul Valley. Just this name alone was enough to explain what Death Soul Valley meant. Upon reaching the Valley of Dead Souls, Longao did not even hesitate before stepping in. Inside Death Valley. Sure, do you know the consequences of your actions? Ha 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 ha. As though he was prepared for this, Sure reared his head back and laughed out loud. Back then, in order to snatch the position of the Alliance Master, Song Hao had not hesitated to kill his own good brother, who was my son. This is a debt that I'll definitely repay. Since we've already fallen out, I'll let Song Hao have a taste of what it's like to lose a daughter. Ha 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 ha. Lin Fan's heart skipped a beat. If that were the case, even if Sure were to kill Sister Lin, Song Hao might not be able to do anything about it. By then, even if they were to go to war, what could they do? The dead could not be brought back to life. What do you want? Hand over your space legendary weapon, and I might consider letting Song Lin live. Otherwise. At this moment, Song Lin's body appeared instantly. However, her voice was sealed. The only thing that could be seen was Song Lin's mouth moving, but no sound came out. Up till this moment, Longao could not figure out how Sure was able to control the ancient golden dragon. The difference in strength between the two was simply too great. With Sure's God Emperor powers alone, could he control the ancient golden dragon without anyone noticing? That was just **T. Just by looking at the expression on Sure's face, Longao was sure that Sure did not know about the existence of the ancient golden dragon. Could it be that the ancient golden dragon did not help Sure earlier on? Anger. Endless anger. If that were the case, the ancient golden dragon was way too despicable. Longao, leave this place first. This old thing has already surpassed the God Ancestor state and is in the Chaos state. Even I wouldn't be able to defend against him, let alone him. I can't come out right now. I can only help you protect Song Lin at the critical moment. At this moment, the ancient golden dragon's voice suddenly sounded in Longao's mind through his spiritual sense. He was not the same as before. After the awakening of his primordial spirit, he certainly knew that the ultimate God was not the most powerful existence. There were God ancestors above the ultimate God, which was equivalent to a level 9 divine beast. Above the God ancestor was the Chaos realm, the real peak of martial art. Before the reincarnation, he was in the chaotic reincarnation realm. However, it was easier said than done to break through the God ancestor and reach the so-called Chaos realm. Longao was in the Chaos realm before, so he knew how difficult it was to break through the Chaos realm. It was not something that could be done with talent alone, but also with great luck. That was exactly the case. Longao had never expected that Sure had already broken through the God Ancestor realm and reached the Chaos realm. No wonder the ancient golden dragon did not dare to appear casually. It was indeed suicidal for a level 9 divine beast to fight against a Chaos realm expert. It had to be said that the ancient golden dragon did the right thing, because only in this way could he save Sister Lin at the critical moment. Longao did not dare to use his spiritual sense to transmit his voice, because he did not know whether he would be discovered by Sure or not. It was better to be careful. Primal Chaos Realm. Looks like you just broke through not long ago. Longao finally knew why Sure dared to do this. It was because his cultivation base had broken through to the Primal Chaos Realm. What a strange concealment technique. Even he could not sense Shirse's true strength. Shir was shocked to the extreme. He had never expected that Longao could sense his realm even though he had hidden his aura. Moreover, people only knew that the god ancestor was at the peak of martial arts, but they did not know that there was a real peak of martial arts above the god ancestor, which was the so-called chaos realm. It was not easy for him to break through, so he dared to come out and confront Longao. Ha ha ha, ha ha, Longao, I have to admit that you are really excellent to be able to guess my strength. But it doesn't matter. I will let you feel for yourself how powerful the so-called chaos realm is. You are also the first person to attack me after I broke through. Chapter 3077. Longao was well aware of how powerful the chaotic realm was. He turned around and left without saying anything else. Trying to leave? Before Shir could make a move, he realized that Longao had disappeared without a trace. Shir was completely shocked. He immediately released his aura to lock onto Yishiwen, but in the end, there was nothing. He thought that he could ignore the spatial artifact in Yishiwen's hand since he had broken through to the chaotic realm. But what happened? Even though he had broken through to the chaotic realm, he still couldn't lock onto Yishiwen. In that case, he couldn't do anything to Yishiwen. He sneered. Shir was completely enraged. He sneered and said, Longao, it seems like you don't want to care about Songlin anymore. In that case, I'll cripple Songlin completely and make her life worse than death. There was no movement. Shir knew that Longao cared a lot about Songlin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken the risk to come here. In that case, why did Longao suddenly change his mind and hide in the spatial artifact? What was going on? Shir didn't show any mercy to Songlin. He wanted to deal with Songlin, and the biggest reason was to let Songhao have a taste of the pain of losing his daughter. In his chaotic dantian, Longao was also very nervous. He was always ready to make a move. If the ancient golden dragon couldn't save Sister Lin, he would have to make a move even if it meant risking his life. He clenched his fists tightly. At the critical moment, just as Shir and Longao were about to make a move, two terrifying auras descended. It was none other than the Domain Masters Alliance's alliance leader, Songhao and Songhan. Shir, what do you mean by this? Let go of Lin or else. Before Songhan could finish, Shir sneered and said, Songhan, who do you think you are? How dare you talk so much here? Get lost. Songhao waved his hand and stopped his second brother. Great Elder, congratulations on breaking through to the chaotic realm. Hearing the Alliance Master reveal his true strength, Shir's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition. Based on the Alliance Master's strength, how could he possibly sense his strength? Many people thought that the Alliance Master of the Domain Lord's Alliance was an Emperor God, but he knew very well that Songhan was not an Emperor God, but a God Ancestor, who was at the same God Ancestor realm as him. All these years, he and Songhao had always been fighting both openly and covertly to break through to the primal chaos realm. Thinking of this, ha 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 ha. Songhao, I'm still one step ahead of you. I've already broken through to the primal chaos realm. From today onwards, the Domain Lord Alliance is mine. As for Songlin, today, I'll let you experience the pain of losing a child. Songhan's expression changed completely. Although he was an ultimate god, he knew the gap between the god ancestor and the chaotic realm. Big Brother and Shir were both at the peak god ancestor realm. They were only one step away from the chaotic realm. But now, Shir was obviously one step ahead of Big Brother. No wonder Shir was so arrogant and dared to go against Lin. He had nothing to fear. Thinking of this, Songhan's expression darkened. Shir, do you really think you're going to win? Looking at the confident alliance master Song Hao, for some reason, Shu's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling about this. What was going on with him? He had already broken through to the chaotic realm. No matter how strong the other party was, he was only at the peak god ancestor realm. There was no way he could fight against him. I'll kill Song Lin right now. The moment Shu finished his words, a terrifying primal chaos aura burst forth from Song Hao, covering the entire area. You. Sensing the terrifying aura from Song Hao, Shu was dumbfounded. Of course, he knew what this meant. That was the reason why he had not expected Song Hao, who he had always thought was at the peak god ancestor realm, to be in the chaotic realm. The same realm as him. Not only that. You've already reached the peak god ancestor realm. You. Song Hao could not hold back his anger as he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was in disbelief. He had thought that he would be able to suppress the other party after breaking through to the chaotic realm. But now? All his advantages were gone in an instant. How could he not be angry? Shu felt like a little bird that had been played. Song Hao, since you've already broken through to the chaotic realm, why didn't you attack me? Why did you wait until now? This was the only thing that Shu could not figure out. According to the grievances between him and Song Hao, since Song Hao had already broken through to the chaotic realm, why didn't he attack him? He did not believe that Shu would be so kind. Song Hao chuckled and said, Shu, I'm sure you're aware of the reason why I haven't acted against you. Your master has always been a pillar of support for my Domain Lord's alliance. Otherwise, do you really think that you can go against me? At this moment, Song Han finally knew the real reason why his brother did not attack him. It was not because he was afraid of Shu, but because he was afraid of the person behind Shu. However, after thinking about it, he understood better than anyone else what the person behind Shu meant. The more he thought about it, the angrier Shu became. Song Hao, what do you want? Let Lin go and you can leave this place. However, I advise you to behave yourself. Otherwise, even if that person protects you, I will definitely kill you. Since things had already come to this, Shu did not dare to continue hesitating. He had never thought that Song Hao would really let him go. Putting himself in a life and death situation for Song Lin was not worth the loss. He turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, Shu's figure had disappeared without a trace. Big brother. Second brother, I know what you want to say. You should know what the person behind Shu means. This is also the real reason why I was unwilling to attack. Once that person is angered, the Domain Lord's alliance will suffer a great loss. Even if you and I can accept it, Father will not. Father has been in seclusion for so many years. If he stops his cultivation because of this matter, we will be sinners. Song Han wanted to say something, but in the end, he forced himself to hold it in. He sighed deeply and asked, Lin are you all right? I'm fine. Big brother Long, are you still there? At this moment, the two of them thought of Longao. They immediately looked around and were shocked. The spatial artifact in Longao's hand was really heaven-defying. Even their big brother could not lock onto its position. Chapter 3078. Subsequently, Longao's figure flashed. Seeing that Sister Lin was fine, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Brother Long, Shu is obviously going to deal with you now. You should leave Thunder City first. Song Lin felt helpless, because she knew very well that because her father was the alliance leader, she couldn't help Brother Long at all. The only way was to let Brother Long leave first. And I will leave Thunder City later. Sister Lin, you should return to the Domain Lord Alliance. This way I can be more at ease. Song Lin also knew the seriousness of the matter. Fortunately, her father came this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao, there are some things that I have no choice but to do. However, the killing order has been removed. From now on, other than Gu Hao and the rest, no one will attack you again. Longao obviously knew what Song Hao meant. Now that Song Hao and Shi had completely fallen out and both of them had exposed their identities, there was no need for Song Hao to continue enduring. If he still didn't remove the killing order, then Song Hao was going to deal with him. Sister Lin, I'll take my leave first. Be careful. After this incident, Song Lin had thought it through. If she wanted to help Brother Long, she had to increase her strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, not only would she not be able to help, she would even implicate Brother Long. This was something she didn't want to see. After Longao left, Liner, come back with me. You were reckless this time. Until now, Song Hao was still afraid. If he hadn't arrived in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although he believed that Longao wouldn't sit by and do nothing, Shi's strength was right in front of him. Of course, Song Lin wouldn't stay any longer. She quickly left with her father and second uncle. The matter in Thunder City had finally come to an end. In the following time, for some reason, the killing order of the Domain Lord Alliance was suddenly retracted. But what did that mean? Ever since the killing order of the Domain Lord Alliance was issued, something like this had never happened before. Could it be that the Domain Lord Alliance was afraid of Longao? After all, in the Battle of Thunder City, Longao had killed dozens of godly emperors. Adding the godly emperors from before, more than 20 godly emperors had died. Even the Domain Lords Alliance couldn't stand by and watch the god emperors fall one by one. However, saying that the Domain Lords Alliance was afraid of Longao was a little ridiculous. It was simply impossible. The Domain Lords Alliance was one of the strongest forces in the chaotic world. They could move unhindered in the 99 Heavens domain. Not to mention Longao, even the Pill Hall and the Devil Palace wouldn't dare to provoke the Domain Lords Alliance. This was the most likely reason. It was an agreement between the Domain Lords Alliance and Longao. Thunder City. Inside the Domain Chief's manor. Of course, Gu Hao had also received the news, and was very curious in his heart. He did not know why Shi wanted to remove the killing order for no reason at all. He obviously knew that this was the Great Elder's doing. As for the Alliance Master, he wasn't willing at all. Without the Domain Lords Alliance's kill order, dealing with Longao became more and more difficult. However, a small Domain Lord like him couldn't interfere with the Domain Lords Alliance's decision. He could only take one step at a time. After leaving, Longao prepared to head to the chaotic mountain range of the First Heavens domain. His cultivation base had successfully broken through to the peak Divine King realm. He was only a step away from the Divine Emperor realm. Once his cultivation base broke through to the Divine Emperor realm, no one in the Divine Emperor realm, including the peak Divine Emperor, would be his opponent. The first divine ability, Divine Punishment, had already reached the peak of Divine Emperor realm. If he wanted to continue comprehending it, he must first break through to the Divine Emperor realm. This was the key. First Heavens domain. Chaotic mountain range. Longao's figure was constantly shuttling through the mountain range, killing level 5 divine beasts. Even if it was a level 6 divine beast, Longao could still kill it. Comprehending the power of time. Longao had already reached the critical point of breakthrough. Now, he only needed an opportunity to smoothly advance to the Divine Emperor realm. If it was before, Longao would definitely not be eager for quick success. However, the situation now was obviously different. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, everything would be nonsense. 10,000 years. He only had 10,000 years. In the following time, Longao began to devour the powers of the divine beasts madly. Be it Essence Blood, Essence Spirit, Level 5 Divine Beasts, Level 6 Divine Beasts, or even Level 4 Divine Beasts, he devoured them all. There would definitely be repercussions if he were to devour continuously. However, since things had already come to this, Longao would naturally not hesitate in the slightest. After killing hundreds of thousands of level 5 divine beasts and thousands of level 6 divine beasts, Longao began to go into seclusion to devour. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. At the 85th year, Longao finally managed to comprehend the power of time with the help of the devouring powers. With that, he successfully advanced to the Divine Emperor realm. In the next 3 years, he continued to kill level 6 divine beasts. Thereafter, he went into seclusion once more to devour the essence blood and essence spirit of tens of thousands of level 6 divine beasts. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed. After a full 100 years, Longao had already broken through from low-level God Emperor to peak-level God Emperor. Initially, he was prepared to continue devouring to see if he could break through to the ultimate God state. But just at this moment, Xiaohe, who had been sleeping for 100 years, suddenly woke up. "Xiaohe, are you alright?" Xiaohe shook his head and chuckled. "Boss, I'm fine. For the past 100 years, you had me devouring powers while I was sleeping. Therefore, not only did I not feel any discomfort, the speed at which I absorbed the inheritance had increased by quite a bit. My cultivation base has already broken through to level 7. Level 7? Hearing Xiaohe's words, Longao was truly shocked. Of course, he knew what level 7 meant. That was equivalent to a God Emperor. In other words, Xiaohe was a true God Emperor beast right now. Longao was pleasantly surprised as he asked, "Xiaohe, with your current strength, what level of martial artists can you devour?" This was the most crucial point. Xiaohe naturally knew what his boss meant. Immediately, he replied, "Boss, I've only just broken through to level 7. Therefore, I can only devour middle-level gods temporarily. Be it Yi Ditian or Gu Hao, I can't devour them forcefully yet." That's enough. Now that Xiaohe had already reached level 7, he believed that he would soon reach peak level 7. If that was the case, he would be able to take revenge. Whether it was Yi Ditian or Gu Hao, they would not be able to resist him. "Boss, will there be any side effects if you forcefully devour them like this?" "It doesn't matter. I'll refine pills later. Furthermore, if I can obtain the Chaos Tree, then no matter how much power I devour in the future, there won't be any side effects." "Boss, back then, we spent so much effort and still couldn't obtain the Chaos Tree, let alone now." Chapter 3079. Chaos Tree. It was the most precious treasure of the Chaos Realm, containing endless life force. Legend has it that if one could obtain the Chaos Tree, then in the future there would be no side effects and it would be of great help. That was exactly the case. Back then, Longao, Xiaohe, and Nangong Yin had gone all out to search for the Chaos Tree. The Chaos Tree itself had spirituality and was very difficult to capture. Even so, countless warriors did not give up. "If I can't get the Chaos Tree, even after 10,000 years, my chances of proving the Chaos Dao will only be 50%. 50% was already very good. But one had to know. For others, such as Nangong Yin and the others, the chances of proving the Dao, not to mention 50%, was not even 5%. "Boss, it's really not easy for us to obtain the Chaos Tree." How could Longao not know about Xiaohe's worries? He smiled helplessly. "I'm just saying. Although I've devoured a lot of energy, as long as I continue to devour pills, I believe that within 3 years, I can completely eliminate the backlash from the energy." Since things had already come to this, Xiaohe did not dwell on this issue. "Boss, what should we do now? Our strength is still far from enough. In the following time, I will break through to the Hierarch realm, and you should break through to the peak of the 7th rank as soon as possible. Once we break through, we will immediately go to Thunder City to find Gu Hao for revenge and clean up the sect. Alright? In 100 years, Longao's matter had long been forgotten, and no one could remember it again. More than 100 years ago, there was a person who dared to provoke the Domain Lord Alliance, killing more than 20 Divine Emperor warriors in a row, and leaving safely under the joint attack of 3 Hierarch warriors. The next day, Longao and Xiao He immediately headed to the Black Stone Heavenly Domain, found the place where they had ascended, and began to forcefully seal the Chaos Channel. Longao had already thought that if his family chose to ascend at this time, then he would be too passive. Nangong Yin and the others would definitely not lower themselves to deal with his family. Thinking about it, Longao was still preparing to seal the 9 chaos channels in the vast starry sky. This way, even if someone broke through to the half-step lower God realm, they would not be able to ascend. For a full 9 days, 1 chaos channel was sealed every day, and all 9 chaos channels were sealed. It was a success. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. Boss, although we've sealed the 9 great primal chaos passageways, making it impossible for ordinary people to know about the existence of the vast starry sky, I'm still worried about Nangong Yin and the others. Longao knew what Xiao He was worried about. He smiled and shook his head. Master God Diviner and the others won't act rashly, Yang Qi said. At the very least, they won't act rashly now. Even if they want to deal with me and my family, they'll have to wait for 10,000 years. On this point, Longao had full confidence. Nangong Yin and the others had nothing to worry about. But in this reincarnation, not only was there kinship, there was even love and friendship. However, Longao didn't regret it at all. He had no regrets. If he could do it again, he would still make the same choice. Boss, do you regret it? No regrets? If we can't prove our Tao in 10,000 years, then we won't have the chance to reincarnate. At that time, whether we live or die will depend on the grand Tao of chaos. The great Tao of primal chaos was illusory and ethereal, yet it could suppress any martial artist from corroborating their Tao. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid of the grand Tao of chaos. Once the grand Tao of chaos was mentioned, Longao felt a deep sense of helplessness. When he created the 9 Revolution Chaos technique, he thought that he could use a heaven-defying technique to prove his Tao. But he didn't expect that he would fail at the final step. Fortunately, he could use the 9 Revolution Chaos technique to protect his primordial spirit and enter the reincarnation cycle. Otherwise, he would have died and disappeared without a trace. This time, no one knew about the 9 great primal chaos passageways that were sealed in the vast starry sky. Even though Yin and the others had the strength to ascend, they still couldn't enter the primal chaos passageways. After entering the Black Stone Heavenly region, Longao suddenly thought of Yunqian and Yunxi. Although the 2 of them had died, their remnant souls still remained in the Xianyuan sword. It wasn't impossible for them to be reborn in the future. Thinking of the 2 of them, Longao felt guilty. He prepared to go to the pill hall and ask Big Brother Dongfang if he was nervous. After all, Dongfang Tuing had already started to refine the Xianyuan sword. Thinking of this, he didn't want to wait any longer. He immediately brought Xiao He to the first heavenly region, which was also the headquarters of the pill hall. Boss, when your 9 Revolution Chaos technique breaks through to the 8th revolution, will it be complete? At that time, you'll be able to come and go as you please. I don't know. I didn't break through to the 8th revolution before. I'm not sure if it's like what you said. However, it shouldn't be too far off. Although the 9 Revolution Chaos technique was created by him, if he wanted to break through to the 8th revolution, or even the 9th revolution, even he had to do it step by step. However, he was only able to reach the peak of the 7th revolution. He was still unable to break through to the 8th revolution. It was a very depressing thing. Boss, when you broke through to the 7th revolution and even reached the peak of the 4th divine ability, you still couldn't break through to the 8th revolution. What's the reason? What's the reason? Longao also wanted to know the reason. If he knew, he wouldn't be stuck at the peak of the 7th revolution. He would have broken through to the 8th revolution long ago. Boss, I've always had a question. I don't know if I should say it or not. Longao said very gloomily. You and I are brothers. No need to be so polite. Just say it. Xiao He smiled and finally said, Boss, back then, you were extremely talented and were the #1 genius of the Chaos Realm. You created the 9 Revolution Chaos Technique and successfully broke through to the 7th Revolution in just 10,000 years. You even comprehended the peak of the 4th Divine Ability. You were only one step away from Tao validation. Longao didn't say anything. If he didn't succeed at the last step, everything else was nonsense. According to my guess, boss, the 8th revolution that you haven't been able to break through, is it related to Tao validation? Continue. Longao seemed to have touched on something, but he still couldn't figure it out. In my opinion, if there are no accidents, boss, if you want to break through to the 8th revolution, you have to succeed in Tao validation. In other words, you have to break through to both the 8th revolution and Tao validation at the same time. Otherwise, it's impossible to break through to the 8th revolution or Tao validation alone. Xiao He was also guessing. Whether this was true or not, he wasn't completely sure. However, he had followed Yi Shiwen for 10,000 years. Of course, he knew Yi Shiwen's situation. Longao completely pondered and didn't continue to say anything. Xiao He also didn't continue to say anything. Chapter 3080. It was impossible to break through the 8th revolution or Tao validation alone. Longao began to think quietly. He had to admit, what Xiao He said made sense. Other than this possibility, he couldn't think of any other reason. When he created the 9 Revolution Chaos Technique, he had already reached the peak of the 7th revolution. He was only one step away from breaking through the 8th revolution. But what happened in the end? He couldn't break through the final bottleneck. It was easy to think about, but it was difficult to actually do it. Not to mention breaking through the 8th revolution and Tao validation at the same time, even one of them was impossible. But he already had a guess. Longao was already prepared to try Xiao He's method when his cultivation recovered to the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. Once he succeeded, he would be able to validate his Tao and become a true immortal. He was excited just thinking about it. First Heavenly Region. Longao had just arrived in the first heavenly region, and he couldn't wait to inform Dongfang Tuing. He also wanted to know how Yunqian and Sister Yun were doing. In a secret courtyard. Dongfang Tuying's status wasn't very high, but it wasn't low either. Therefore, it was more than enough for him to have such a courtyard in the Pill Hall. Brother Long, it's good to see that you're fine. The two strongest forces in the first heavenly region were probably the Pill Hall and the Domain Lord Alliance. The two biggest cities were the Pill City and the Alliance City. Longao smiled and said, I'm fine. Brother Dongfang, how's the refining of the Xianyuan sword? Dongfang Tuing obviously knew what Brother Long meant. Brother Long, don't worry. I've completely refined the Xianyuan sword. I'm using it to slowly nourish their primordial spirit. When the time is right, I'll think of a way to revive them. Longao obviously wouldn't doubt Dongfang Tuying's words. He finally heaved a sigh of relief. Brother Dongfang, I'll leave everything to you. Ha ha, Brother Long, there's no need to be so polite between us. He seemed to have thought of something. Dongfang Tuing said helplessly, Brother Long, forgive me for asking, but what's going on between you and the big miss? Something big? Longao naturally knew who the eldest miss that big brother Dongfang was talking about was. He also knew what Dongfang Tuing meant. Big brother Dongfang, big sister Han is like my elder sister. This sentence was enough to express Longao's attitude. Dongfang Taiying was worried about this, but what he was afraid of came true. Brother Long, young miss likes you. I know. How could Longao not know about Sister Han's feelings for him? It was just that he simply could not accept it. Previously, when he had no choice but to accept Sister Yun, he had already told himself not to do so in the future. 10,000 years later, it was still unknown whether he would be alive or dead. Similarly, there was no guarantee that he would succeed in proving his Tao. More feelings meant more worries. Brother Long, you and young miss are very compatible. Why can't you try to accept it? Regarding this, Dongfang Tuing was very curious. He didn't know what was going on with Brother Long and why he wasn't willing to accept Big Mississippi. In Dongfang Tuying's opinion, whether it was talent or family background, Miss was a first-class existence in the entire Chaos realm. There were countless people who wanted to get Miss, but his Brother Long didn't seem to be interested at all. Could it be that Brother Long has no feelings for Miss at all? He wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. After a deep sigh in his heart, Longao said, Brother Dongfang, there are some things that you won't understand. Of course, Longao wouldn't tell Dongfang Tuing that he was reincarnated. At this moment, Dongfang Tuing seemed to have sensed something. His face was full of shock as he said, Brother Long, your talent is extraordinary. You have already become a peak divine emperor in such a short period of time. Dongfang Tuing didn't know what to say. In such a short period of time, Longao had already become a peak divine emperor. Is this true? Longao just smiled and didn't say anything. Dongfang Tuing of course could feel that Brother Long was unwilling to say more, so he didn't continue to pursue this issue. In the following time, the two of them discussed a few more things. Dongfang Tuing got up and left, while Longao stayed in the courtyard. Since he was already here, he didn't want to leave for the time being. He wanted to cultivate as soon as possible to see if he could break through to the ultimate God realm. Longao was full of confidence. If his cultivation base could break through to the ultimate God realm, he might be able to start comprehending the second divine path, destruction. However, he couldn't do so at the moment. His first task was to find a way to break through to the ultimate God realm from the peak divine emperor realm. Longao was already invincible among the divine emperors. He could even kill a primary level ultimate god if nothing went wrong. In addition, Xiao He had successfully broken through to the 7th level and could also devour a mid-level ultimate god. This meant that Xiao He and Longao could kill a mid-level ultimate god if they worked together. As for a high-level ultimate god or a peak ultimate god, it was still somewhat impossible. Even so, the two of them were already very powerful. Soon, Han Yin got the news that Longao had arrived in Pill City and immediately came over. After seeing Longao, she seemed to be unable to hold back the longing in her heart. She immediately ran over and hugged Longao tightly as she began to cry. Longao was caught off guard. He had already thought it through. He absolutely could not accept anyone else. After all, he didn't even know if they were alive or dead after 10,000 years. It was not good for himself or his loved ones if he had too many worries. But now? Longao's heart instantly softened when Sister Han ran over and hugged him tightly. No one could control their feelings. Even Longao was no exception. Longao's hands also began to hug Han Yin tightly. Both of them did not say anything and just hugged each other tightly. Dongfang Taiying and Han Feng at the side were very happy. Both of them naturally hoped that Longao and Big Miss could walk together. Especially Dongfang Taiying. He obviously knew that Brother Long was just talking about it before. Now that his feelings had truly come, how many people could resist it? Half an hour later. Little Een, your wish has finally come true. From now on, I sincerely wish both of you the best. Big brother. Han Yin was very shy. No matter what, it was her first relationship. She looked at Longao affectionately. Ahem, Brother Long, you have to treat my sister well in the future. Otherwise, I will never let you go. Big Brother Han, don't worry. I will. At that moment, Han Feng said, Brother Long, what's going on between you and the Territorial Lord Alliance? Chapter 3081. It wasn't just Han Feng, even Han Yin and Dongfang Tuing were curious. Longao didn't want to talk too much about the Domain Lord's alliance. He told them about it briefly. The three of them could feel that Longao didn't want to talk too much. In that case, the three of them didn't continue asking. Brother Long, I just sense that you've broken through to the peak Divine Emperor realm. Why don't you advance to the Hierarch realm in one go? Even Han Feng was a little shocked. How many years had it been? Han Feng vaguely remembered that when he first met Longao, he was just an overgod. He didn't expect that Longao's cultivation would reach the peak Divine Emperor realm in such a short time, far surpassing him. If it was someone else, they wouldn't even think about breaking through to the Hierarch realm from the peak Divine Emperor realm. Even if they could, they didn't know how long it would take. Only Longao. Han Feng didn't know how to describe Longao's monstrous talent. Longao shook his head helplessly and said, Brother Han, to tell you the truth, I was able to break through to the peak Divine Emperor realm so quickly because I devoured the energy of countless divine beasts. So, I need to stabilize my realm before advancing to the Hierarch realm. She seemed to have thought of something. Han Yin immediately said, Brother Long, our pill hall has many pills for stabilizing one's realm. She shook her head. Longao smiled and said, Sister Han, not long ago, I successfully advanced to the level 7 pill inscription master. So, ordinary pills are useless to me. As for useful pills, I can refine them myself. Brother Long, what did you just say? Can you say it again? Both Han Feng and Dongfang Tuing were extremely shocked. Of course, they knew what a level 7 pill inscription master meant. I'm already a level 7 pill inscription master, Longao said with a smile. A level 7 pill inscription master wasn't important anymore. Not to mention a level 7 pill inscription master, even a level 9 pill inscription master wasn't important anymore. The most important thing was that he could return to the chaotic reincarnation realm. Han Feng sighed. The two of them didn't say anything else. They were deeply shocked. How long had it been? A 7th grade inscription master and a peak divine emperor. It was obvious what Longao's potential and talent meant. Longao didn't want to dwell on this issue. Dusk fell. Longao had already started concocting pills and swallowing a large number of pills to stabilize his cultivation base. Only by completely stabilizing himself could he take another step forward. Of course, Shur had already received news of Longao's appearance in the pill hall. Even so, Shur did not dare to act blindly without thinking. The pill city was the heart of the pill hall. Even the Domain Masters Alliance didn't dare to casually look for trouble. Shur was very clear in his heart that if this matter was not handled properly, the gains would not make up for the losses. At that time, he would go for wool and come home shorn. Domain Lord's Alliance. The entire courtyard was in a mess and Shur was furious. Until now, Shur had not expected that Song Hao's cultivation state would be the same as his. He had already broken through the chaotic realm. In fact, he had even broken through to the pinnacle state. This was absolutely inconceivable. Originally, he was full of confidence, but now, it was all gone. First deal with Longao, then deal with Song Lin. Even if I can't become the Alliance Lord, I must let you experience what it means to lose your children. When he thought of Longao being in the pill hall, Shur's face became gloomier. The pill hall was not something he could provoke. He had already received news that the pill hall and Longao's relationship seemed to be good. If he recklessly went to the pill hall to deal with Longao, the pill hall would forcefully intervene. He could imagine what the consequences would be. This matter needed to be discussed at length. Mountain range of chaos. Qin Shuangshuang's injuries were very serious. She endured the waves of weakness coming from her body, and her speed was as fast as lightning. Not far away, a divine beast and a figure were chasing after Qin Shuangshuang at an incredible speed. Let's work harder. Qin Shuangshuang can't hold on any longer. Judas said angrily. Brother, Longao is still at the lowest level. Why don't we deal with Longao directly and forcefully take the 9 Revolution Chaos Codex? Why do we have to go through so much trouble? How could Wutian not know what Judas was thinking? Judas was one of the 10 divine beasts of chaos. As for Wutian Mo, he was the founder of the Demon Palace. Both man and beast were incomparably powerful beings. However, after reincarnating, they had only awakened their primordial spirit. They had yet to recover their full strength. Longao's character, you and I are very clear about it. Even if he falls, it's impossible for him to give us the 9 Revolution Chaos formula. So, we must capture Qin Shuangshuang. In this way, as long as we control Qin Shuangshuang, Longao will be at our mercy. Judas finally understood his brother's intentions. Man and beast increased their speed again as they chased after Qin Shuangshuang with all their might. Qin Shuangshuang was not a match for the two of them. One was the founder of the Demon Palace, the other was one of the 10 divine beasts of chaos. Each was more terrifying than the last. What should she do? Qin Shuangshuang still did not know who Longao was, but she knew why they wanted to deal with her. Continuing like this was not a solution. Man and beast were determined to deal with her. No matter where she went, she would not be able to escape death. In the end, Qin Shuangshuang gritted her teeth and chose to head for the forbidden area of chaos. Longao knew nothing of Qin Shuangshuang's situation. He guessed that something had happened to her, but he had no idea where she was or what had happened. However, there were 99 celestial domains in chaos. Trying to pinpoint her location was impossible. Longao's heart was unwilling to give up, but no matter how much he wanted to, he had no choice but to give up. There was only one thing he could do, and that was to increase his strength as quickly as possible. Only then would he be able to deal with whatever came his way. Within the courtyard, Longao was quietly consolidating his powers. Suddenly, his eyes flew open. He looked at the man who had just arrived. Hao Lin, what do you want from me? Back when he met Hao Lin at the top of the king-naming pagoda, Longao knew nothing about Hao Lin. However, the situation was completely different now. Hao Lin had successfully awakened his Yuan spirit. Longao already knew Hao Lin's identity. Hao Lin was neither a friend nor an enemy. He was both a friend and a foe. However, Longao admired Hao Lin. At least, he was much stronger than Nangong Yin and the others. He wasn't as treacherous. Longao, does Qin Shuangshuang not remember you? I just received word that Wutian Mo and Judas are fighting Qin Shuangshuang. Chapter 3082. Wutian Mo? Judas? Longao froze at Hao Lin's words. His worst fears had come true. He knew Shuangshuang was in some kind of danger, but he didn't expect it to be Wutian Mo and Judas. One was the founder of the Demon Palace. The other was one of the 10 beasts of chaos. Man and beast joined forces. How could the two of them stand a chance? Longao, I advise you to remain calm. Qin Shuangshuang is safe for now. What's going on? She's already in that place. Longao was shocked, but at the same time relieved. Once he was at his peak, he could enter that place and help Shuangshuang escape. Perhaps now was the best time for Shuangshuang to enter that place. Suppressing the worry in his heart, Longao kept telling himself that he had to calm down in this kind of situation. Impulsiveness could lead to disaster. Thank you for telling me. Longao was truly grateful to Hao Lin. If not for Hao Lin telling him, he would probably still be kept in the dark. You're welcome. Longao's heart was as clear as a mirror about why the man and the beast wanted to deal with Qin Shuangshuang. If there was no accident, the reason why the man and the beast wanted to deal with Qin Shuangshuang was mainly because of him. Strictly speaking, they were after him for the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex. Whether it was in the past or in this cycle, everyone knew their own personality. Even if they died, they wouldn't give up the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex so easily. The 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex was a heaven-defying technique that could help a cultivator reach the Tao. No one would be unwilling to acquire it. If they couldn't kill him, then controlling Qin Shuangshuang was the best and most effective way to do so. Longao, since you've awakened your primordial spirit, you need to recover quickly. We only have 10,000 years. If you fail to reach the Tao in 10,000 years, then not only you, but all of us will be wiped out by the chaos. This was the real reason no one dared to act. The 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex was the key to reaching the Tao. If Longao lived, then everyone could live. There was even a chance they could reach the Tao. If Longao died, then there was no doubt that many people would be wiped out by the great Tao of chaos. They wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. Difficult. Hao Lin naturally knew that Longao's situation was very special. The speed and difficulty of Longao's recovery was far above that of others. Hao Lin, I have something that I need your help with. Please speak. The two of them did not have a deep relationship. However, under such circumstances, Longao could only ask this person for help. I believe you already know about my reincarnation. I've already sealed the 9 chaos passageways in the vast cosmos, but I'm still worried about the others. I'll keep an eye out for you. Hao Lin was not a fool. He naturally understood what Longao meant. To Hao Lin, this was just a small matter. Longao did not thank him. There was no need for words. Once Hao Lin was gone, Ao Long's heart burned with anger. If he had known things would turn out this way, he would have gone all out to kill Wutian and Judas. That would have saved him the trouble he was now facing. But now it was too late for regrets. His fists were clenched tightly. Even if he did not kill them before, once he recovered to his peak strength, he would kill them no matter the cost. If something really happened to Shuangshuang, even if the man and the beast died, it would not be a pity. But at this time, any words were useless. The most important thing was to raise his strength as fast as possible. The first step was to break through to the ultimate God realm. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, for 9 whole years, Longao swallowed countless pills to forcefully break through from peak deity emperor to beginner god. When Han Feng and the others found out that he had broken through from deity emperor to ultimate god realm in 9 years, they were deeply shocked. Their faces were filled with disbelief. They had seen people with amazing talents, but never someone as amazing as this. Was this still a human? Such a cultivation speed was simply unimaginable. Han Feng was extremely frustrated. When he first met Longao, he could still look down on him. But in just a few short decades, he had changed from looking down to looking up. The other party's strength had long surpassed his. Even in the pill hall, a god was in existence with an extremely high status. Above gods were god emperors. God emperors were already rare existences, let alone god ancestors. Those were legendary existences. But within the pill hall and the Domain Lord Alliance, there were definitely god emperors. As for the Chaos Realm, very few people knew about it. Even Han Feng and the others only knew about it vaguely. As for the specifics of the Chaos Realm, they knew nothing. Longao had successfully broken through to the ultimate god realm, but he did not dare to continue swallowing pills or god beasts. If he did, Not only would he not be able to break through to a higher cultivation state, it might even be counterproductive and hinder his cultivation. This was something Longao did not want to see. Following the rapid breakthrough of his cultivation, the next thing he needed to do was to stabilize his cultivation. Longao calculated that he would need at least 3 years to stabilize his cultivation state before he could continue to break through. For the sake of his future cultivation, even if he was unwilling to stabilize his cultivation state, he could only choose to accept it since it had already happened. Han Yin and Han Feng already knew about Longao's situation. Of course, the two of them did not wish for Longao's cultivation to be hindered. Han Yin said worriedly, "Brother Long, since Sure hates you so much, why don't you stay in Dan City and cultivate first? It won't be too late to leave when your strength is enough to contend against him. What do you think?" How could Longao not know what Sister Han meant? He shook his head and said, "Sister Han, I know what you mean. But if I continue to stay here, my strength won't be able to increase rapidly. I don't have much time left." Not much time left? What does that mean? Hearing Longao's words, Han Feng and Han Yin were very curious. They did not know what he meant by not much time left. Han Yin could not wait any longer and asked, "Brother Long, what happened? What do you mean not much time left? Are you hiding something from me?" Longao smiled and pulled Sister Han's hand. He said with a smile, "Sister Han, don't worry. There are some things that I can't tell you. But I'm fine. I've already decided to leave the Dan Palace in a few days." The main reason he came to the Dan Palace this time was to ask about the progress of Big Brother Dongfang's refinement of the Xian Yuan sword. Since things were going well, then there was no need for him to continue staying here. Instead, he should train everywhere and try to increase his strength as soon as possible. Chapter 3083. In the end, Longao chose to leave the first heavenly region. He didn't want to fall out with the Devil Palace. After all, his current situation was a little different. He would be in big trouble if he provoked the Devil Palace. However, Mo Wutian dared to attack Shuang. This was something he couldn't tolerate. The Devil Palace, Pill Hall, and the Territorial Lord Alliance were like fire and water. How could they have their headquarters in the first heavenly region? That was the reason. The Devil Palace was in the second heavenly region. The second heavenly region, Devil City. The situation in the second heavenly region was completely different from the first heavenly region. In the first heavenly region, Pill Hall and the Territorial Lord Alliance coexisted and jointly controlled the first heavenly region. However, in the second heavenly region, the situation was completely different. The Devil Palace was the absolute overlord in the second heavenly region. Almost everyone in the second heavenly region was from the Devil Palace or cultivators of the Devil Dao. What did that mean? In other words, the second heavenly region was the holy land of the Devil Dao cultivators. However, there were other cultivators there as well. Comparatively speaking, the Devil Dao cultivators accounted for more than 95% of the population. Longao himself was not a martial artist who cultivated the demonic path, but he still barged in without turning back. Devil City, the largest city in the second heavenly region. It was also the headquarters of the Devil Palace. After Longao entered the Devil City, he rested for a day. On the second day, he started his revenge plan by assassinating the Devil Palace's cultivators on a large scale. Ordinary cultivators weren't interested at all. They only targeted the Devil Palace's divine kings or divine emperors, including primary-level ultimate gods and intermediate-level ultimate gods. They could easily kill them openly, let alone assassinate them. Gradually, the Devil Palace began to realize that something was wrong. The Devil Palace Master, Mo Wufeng, and the 4 elders began to issue orders to search for the culprit. However, what was the result? No matter how much the Devil Palace tried, they still found nothing. What was going on? Mo Wufeng and the others couldn't figure out who dared to provoke the Devil Palace. One had to know. The Devil Palace was one of the most powerful forces in the Chaos Realm. It was even comparable to the Pill Hall and the Territorial Lord Alliance. Even the Pill Hall and the Territorial Lord Alliance wouldn't dare to provoke the Devil Palace casually, let alone ordinary cultivators. If it was somewhere else, it would be fine. But now, this was the headquarters of the Devil Palace, the Devil City. Dozens of godly emperors and more than 30 godly kings had been killed. To the Devil Palace, this was an utter humiliation. It was a great humiliation. Longao did it very secretly, so it was not easy for the Devil Palace to find out that it was him who did it. In fact, Longao was also very depressed. After more than a month of assassination, he had only encountered godly kings, godly emperors, and high-level ultimate gods. They did not even meet a primary-level ultimate god or mid-level ultimate god. Ultimate gods were the foundation of the Demon Palace. As for divine kings or divine emperors, it was much easier for the Demon Palace to cultivate them than ultimate gods. On the 13th day, Longao finally seized the opportunity to meet 2 first-level ultimate gods who seemed to have just broken through and came from the Demon Palace. If that was the case, they should not blame him for being rude. How could he easily give up such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Third brother, we're really lucky to have both broken through to the first-level ultimate god realm. This way, our status in the Devil Palace will be greatly improved. Mo-san helplessly shook his head and said, the ultimate god realm can only be considered as the middle level of the Devil Palace. Our current strength is far from enough to enter the upper levels. Mo-san was very clear about that. So, both of us must continue to work hard and strive to break through to the Emperor God realm as soon as possible. That way, we can be considered to have entered the upper levels of the Devil Palace. Emperor God realm was already their highest wish. As for the legendary godly ancestor realm, both of them did not even dare to think about it. After all, there were only a few godly ancestors in the entire Devil Palace, including the entire 99 heavens of the chaotic realm. Mo-san and Emojio had just broken through to the ultimate god realm and wanted to leave the Devil Palace to relax. They never expected that someone had already locked onto them. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never believe that there would be someone who would be so reckless as to lock onto their position in the Devil Palace's Devil City. Putting aside the deterrence of the Devil Palace, just their strength alone was enough to show. The brothel. Demon Dao warriors were different from other warriors. Many Demon Dao warriors, even those who had broken through to the God Emperor realm, liked to do things between men and women. Take Mo-san and Emojio for example. Both of them had broken through to the ultimate God realm, but the first thing they did was to visit the brothel. Just as they stepped into the brothel, they immediately felt something was wrong. The entire brothel was like a boundless space with sword aura everywhere. What was going on? Mo-san seemed to have thought of something and shouted in horror, "This is a level 6 formation. Let's go." If they had completely stabilized their ultimate god realm, they would certainly not be afraid. However, they had just broken through to the ultimate god realm not long ago and were still very afraid of such a powerful level 6 formation. When Longao knew that the two were going to the brothel, he had already entered the brothel and released the level 6 formation from the chaotic realm, the 9 heavens and 10 earths killing formation. He used the formation mainly to prevent his aura from leaking out. Even at this moment, he did not want to reveal his identity. "The two of you, welcome to my formation. Who the hell are you?" Both of them had just come out of seclusion, so they knew nothing about the assassination of the Devil Palace's people. However, it seemed like the other party had a powerful background since he dared to attack them in Devil City. Even so, the two of them still could not figure out who the other party was. Even if it was the Territorial Lords Alliance or the Pill Hall, they would not dare to casually provoke the Devil Palace, especially in Devil City. It was like slapping their faces. As long as they were not fools, they would not do that. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that both of you are about to die. However, if you're willing to be my dogs, I can spare your lives. Be his dogs? The two of them were instantly enraged when they heard the other party's words. How could they be willing to submit to someone who had successfully broken through to the primary ultimate god realm? Emoju suddenly laughed out loud and said, "You're too arrogant. You want to use a little level 6 formation to make us submit to you?" Before Emojo could finish his sentence, a behemoth instantly appeared. Xiao Hei's body instantly expanded countless times and began to devour the two of them in a frenzy. Two primary ultimate gods were just a piece of cake to Xiao Hei. They were not even worth mentioning. Chapter 3084. Both of them were initially confident, but after sensing the opponent's strength, they were completely stunned. Both of them knew what a level 7 divine beast meant. Not to mention that they had just broken through to the ultimate god realm. Even if they had completely stabilized their ultimate god realm, they might not be a match for the opponent. At this moment, both of them finally knew why the opponent was so arrogant. It turned out that he had the right to be arrogant. They were stunned. "Sir, we are willing to submit." Just as Blackie was about to devour them, the two of them immediately shouted in fear. Blackie immediately stopped devouring. Longao's figure slowly appeared. He looked at the two of them and said, "Answer whatever I ask. If you hide anything, you will suffer a fate worse than death." Yes. Since things had already come to this, the two of them naturally did not dare to hide anything. Who is the current palace master of Devil Palace? Lord Mo Wufeng. The two of them were curious. They did not know that the opponent would ask such a low-level question. The entire chaotic realm knew that the palace master of Devil Palace was Mo Wufeng. Is Mo Wu Tian here? Ah. Hearing the name Mo Wu Tian, both Mo San and Mo Jiu were shocked. Mo Jiu said in a trembling voice, "Ancestor has disappeared for many years." The two of them did not know why the opponent was asking about the old ancestor. Mo Wu Tian, the founder of Devil Palace, one of the strongest warriors in the chaotic realm. However, many years ago, Mo Wu Tian suddenly disappeared. It was said that he wanted to break through to a higher realm. "I want to kill Mo Wufeng." "What did you just say?" The two of them were so angry that they laughed. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen someone as arrogant as Yi Futian. Yi Futian wanted to kill the palace lord of the Devil Palace, yet he dared to say such a thing. "I want to kill Mo Wufeng, and I need your help." "Then you should just kill the two of us." What a joke. What was the difference between killing Mo Wufeng and committing suicide? Longao was not surprised at the attitude of the two people. According to Longao's guess, the Palace Master of Devil Palace, the Alliance Master of Domain Lords Alliance, and the Pill Hall Master should all be in the chaotic realm. For example, the Domain Lords Alliance had two chaotic realm cultivators in it. One was Songhao and the other was Shirshir. That was indeed the case. Longao guessed that the Devil Palace's Palace Master, Mo Wufeng, should be a primal chaos realm expert. Was it possible to kill a primal chaos realm warrior? Longao, of course, knew that this was impossible. As a primal chaos reincarnation martial artist, he naturally knew what it meant to be a primal chaos realm martial artist. "I heard that there's a forbidden ground in the Devil Palace. I'd like to take a look." Forbidden area. Hearing that the other party no longer insisted on dealing with the Palace Master, the two of them finally breathed a sigh of relief. Even so, their faces were still a little ugly. Mo San asked, "Which forbidden area do you want to go to?" In the Devil Palace, there were many forbidden grounds. The two of them didn't know which forbidden ground the other party wanted to enter. But since things had already reached this point, the two of them naturally knew that the other party had come prepared. If he hadn't experienced it personally, he would have found it hard to believe. There was actually someone who dared to have designs on the Devil Palace. This was simply inconceivable. Demon Tomb. Hearing that the other party wanted to enter the Demon Tomb, the two of them were completely stunned. Who was this person? Forgive me for saying this, but even if we can bring you in, once you step into the demonic tomb, you will die without a doubt. Let me give you a piece of advice: it's best you give up on this idea. Otherwise, you will die without a burial place. Longao didn't care at all. Since he dared to enter, he wasn't afraid of the demon tomb. That's my business. You only have two choices. One is to kill Mo Wufeng. The second is to bring me into the demon tomb. No, there's a third choice. You can choose to die. Anger, but more than that, helplessness. Even if they were beaten to death, the two of them would never have thought that they would encounter such a situation after breaking through to the ultimate god realm. If they had known earlier, they would have stayed in the Devil Palace. However, it was too late for regret. Of the three choices, as long as the two of them weren't idiots, they would definitely choose the Demon Tomb. The Demon Tomb was one of the Devil Palace's forbidden grounds. It was also the biggest forbidden ground. Every Devil Palace expert's corpse would be buried there. If it were the two of them in the past, they definitely wouldn't have the qualifications to enter. But now, the situation was completely different. The two of them had successfully broken through to the ultimate god realm and could be considered to have some status. Of course, Longao wouldn't believe the two of them. First, he sealed their Yuan Shin. If they dared to play any tricks, he would immediately kill them. Longao pretended to be a disciple of the two of them and followed them to cultivate a legendary demonic path cultivation method. In just a few hours, Longao's entire body was covered with demonic chi and he became a demonic path martial artist. This way, no one would suspect anything at all. With the two of them's status, no one questioned them from the beginning to the end. Soon, Longao and the other two had entered the Devil Palace. One had to admit that the Devil Palace was indeed one of the most powerful forces in the primal chaos world. Within the Devil Palace, experts were as common as clouds. There were even many god emperors. Longao had completely concealed his aura. Currently, he was just a superior god. Longao, you have to know that the Demon Tomb is one of the forbidden grounds of our Devil Palace. Countless experts are buried in it. If you go in like this, you'll definitely die. If it were before, the two of them would have wanted to tear each other into pieces. But now, they really didn't want anything to happen to each other. After all, the other party had sealed their Yuan Shin. If anything happened to Longao, the two of them would be the first to suffer. Until now, the two of them still couldn't figure out why the other party wanted to enter the Demon Tomb. Could it be that he wanted to commit suicide? You just need to bring me into the Demon Tomb. As for other things, you don't have to worry about them. Remember, don't play any tricks with me. Otherwise, Longao didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. How could the two of them not know what he meant? They nodded helplessly. Mo-san said helplessly, "You've already sealed our Yuan Shin. How would we dare to play any tricks with you?" Longao sneered in his heart. Although he had made sure that nothing would go wrong, he couldn't guarantee that everything would go smoothly. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. If the other people in the Devil Palace found out, everything would be for naught. Even if the palace master of the Devil Palace was beaten to death, he would never have thought that he would end up like this. Previously, he had assassinated the people of the Devil Palace to divert their attention. That way, his chances of entering the Demon Tomb would be higher. Chapter 3085. Fourth Elder. The two of them immediately bowed respectfully when they saw an old man walking towards them. Longao was familiar with this person. Before entering, the two of them had already said that the 5 people they did not want to see in the demon palace were the palace master and the 4 elders. According to Longao's guess, the palace master of the demon palace was most likely in the chaotic realm. As for the 4 elders, they were all the so-called God ancestor elders. You've successfully broken through to the ultimate God realm. Continue to work hard and don't delay. Yes. The 4th elder seemed to value the two of them very much. He smiled and walked away. Until this moment, the two of them finally heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Longao behind them helplessly. If the demon palace discovered Longao's existence, the two of them knew what the consequences would be. It would be a lie to say that they were not afraid. Let's go. The 3 of them soon arrived in front of the demon tomb. With the 2 of them leading the way, no one stopped them. Just imagine. Who would suspect the 2 of them? Inside the demon tomb. It was a vast space with countless tombs. All of them belonged to the experts of the demon palace over the years. Among them were the tombs of the previous palace masters. Longao, what are you trying to do? Until now, the 2 of them still did not know what Longao wanted to do. The demon palace's tombs were filled with bones and remnant souls. It was almost impossible for him to devour them. If that was the case, why did he come here? They could not figure it out. They really could not figure it out. Longao just smiled mysteriously and said, "Your mission has been completed. You can leave first. After I'm done with my business, I'll contact you and leave. You can come in then." Could they refuse? The 2 of them knew that they were in a passive position and could not refuse. They had no choice but to leave. In the main hall, Mo Wufeng and the 4 elders gathered in the main hall. Mo San and Mo Jiu were also present. After the 2 of them heard what was going on, they were completely dumbfounded. As long as they weren't fools, they had already guessed that the person who was constantly assassinating the demon palace's martial artists was definitely Longao. Could it be that Longao did it on purpose? Until now, the 2 of them still didn't know Longao's identity. Because the 2 of them chose to go into seclusion all year round, they were almost cut off from the outside world. Have you found anything yet? Palace Lord, there's still no news. Anger. Endless rage. Mo Wufeng tried his best to suppress the rage in his heart. The Devil City was the base of the Devil Palace. Now that they were being assassinated right under their noses, it was a great humiliation for the Devil Palace. Such a thing had never happened before. Palace Master, this person is obviously provoking our demon palace. However, according to my guess, this person should only be an ultimate god. Otherwise, how could he assassinate divine kings and divine emperors? Others might not know, but how could Mo San and Mo Jiu not know? Longao wasn't an ultimate god, he was just a peak divine emperor. However, the 3rd elder's guess wasn't accurate at all. Although Longao was just a divine emperor, he could kill ultimate gods. Otherwise, the 2 of them wouldn't be under his control. The 2 of them wouldn't dare to say anything even if they were beaten to death. If the Devil Palace knew about this, they would probably die without a burial place. Helplessness. Regret. However, it was too late for regret. Continue the investigation. No matter what, find this person for me. Mo Wufeng was completely enraged. No matter who the person was, even if he was a divine ancestor, or someone from the Pill Hall or the Domain Lords Alliance, he would tear him into pieces. After leaving the main hall, Mo San and Mo Jiu felt that something was amiss. "Third brother, I have a feeling that this person deliberately assassinated us to divert the Devil Palace's attention so that we can bring him into the Devil Tomb." How could Mo San not know what Mo Jiu was thinking? He sighed deeply and said helplessly, "So what if I know? Longao has already entered the Devil Tomb. We can only hope that he leaves as soon as possible. Otherwise, if word of this gets out, neither of us will be able to live. Inside the Devil Tomb, looking at the endless graveyard before him, Blackie asked worriedly, "Boss, are you sure you want to do this? If you're not careful, it will affect your future." Blackie, of course, knew what his boss meant. If this were before, he wouldn't have done this. But when he heard that Mo Wuqian and Judas were working together against Sister Shuang Shuang, he couldn't bear it. So he chose to go to such extremes. If he didn't succeed, it was easy to imagine how much trouble it would bring. Even if he did succeed, the damage to his boss would be considerable. Blackie didn't want him to do this. How could Longao not know this? He shook his head and said, "Mo Wuqian dared to attack Sister Shuang Shuang. Although I can't get my revenge yet, I can at least collect some interest." Blackie knew his boss's personality better than anyone else. Once he'd decided on something, he wouldn't change his mind. He sighed deeply. If that was the case, then there was no point in saying more. He just hoped that his boss would be safe. Longao's main reason for coming to the Devil Tomb was to use his chaotic dantian to refine the souls and corpses of the Devil Tomb. If it wasn't a chaotic corpse slave, then it would be a chaotic soul slave. If it was like this, then it was easy to imagine what it would mean to use the dead cultivators of the Devil Palace. However, it was not an easy task to refine such a huge corpse or soul slave. However, in order to deal with the Devil Palace, Longao could no longer care about other things. Even though he clearly knew that doing so would be a great hindrance to him in the future, he still prepared to do so without hesitation. Longao didn't hesitate and began to refine on a large scale. If others knew that someone dared to refine all the powerhouses of the Devil Palace into soul or corpse slaves in the Devil Tomb, they would probably be scared to death. The soul or corpse slaves that Longao refined were far stronger than the original body. It was easy to imagine that once the refinement was successful, even if it couldn't destroy the Devil Palace, it would probably bring endless disaster to the Devil Palace. Just like that, Longao stayed in the Devil Tomb and began refining. If he encountered any uncompromising souls, he would directly destroy them. He didn't have time to waste here because he knew very well that if the people of the Devil Palace found out about this, even if he could escape unscathed, it would be for naught. He had done so much. If he failed just like that, he would be unwilling. He had to end this quickly and settle this matter in the shortest time possible. Chapter 3086. It was practically impossible for them to cultivate it in such a short period of time. The Devil Palace was still searching for the culprit, but it was to no avail. Without even guessing, they knew that the culprit must have left the Devil Palace. To come and kill dozens of god kings and god emperors for no reason and then leave unknowingly, that was a humiliation to the Devil Palace. So what if it was a humiliation? Within the Devil Tomb, Longao did not rest for even a single minute as he focused on cultivating soul slaves and corpse slaves. 95% of the essence spirits and corpses were cultivated. As for those who were unwilling, they were destroyed and dispersed into thin air. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Emo-san and Emojio were worried every single day. The both of them were almost certain that Longao was not dead yet. Otherwise, there was no way they would still be here in one piece. Since that was the case, just what was Longao doing in the Devil Tomb? The both of them were curious. Third brother, it's been 10 whole years. Longao still has no intention of leaving the Devil Tomb. What should we do? If this were to continue, who knew what would happen? Emo-san's face was extremely grim as well. Our essence spirits are locked up by him. There's nothing we can do. Right now, we can only pray that he leaves the Devil Tomb as soon as possible. The both of them already knew about the legend of Longao. It was clear as day. That was the reason why the both of them were shocked to the extreme. What could they say to a lunatic? A lunatic who did not fear anything. The both of them felt helpless just thinking about it. This was not the way to go, but there was nothing they could do. Just then, the devil tomb began to tremble violently, letting out a series of horrifying cracking sounds. What was going on? The entire devil palace was alarmed. After all, the devil tomb was a forbidden ground of the devil palace, and nothing had ever happened there before. Naturally, Emo-san and Emojio could feel the tremors of the devil tomb as well. Both of their faces were filled with shock. Even though they did not know what was going on in the devil tomb, their instincts told them that it was not as simple as it seemed. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions rang out continuously. Everyone in the devil palace did not know what to do. Even the ground of the devil palace was shaking violently. Just as everyone did not know what was going on, the devil tomb had completely collapsed. Countless soul slaves and corpse slaves swarmed out, attacking anyone they saw. Moreover, they attacked madly with no regard for their lives, killing people on sight, killing gods on sight. Anyone who stood in his way would die. Devil Palace, 9 Heavens Void. Mo Wufeng and the other 4 stared fixedly at the changes happening in the tomb. Their faces changed immediately, not knowing what was going on. Palace Lord, someone is causing trouble. You actually turned all of my devil tomb's martial artists into soul slaves. No matter who you are, I will tear you to pieces. To be able to refine an essence soul and a corpse into a soul slave or corpse slave, the thought of it was a little too thorough. Was there anyone in the Chaos Realm who could do that? Longao left as fast as he could without any hesitation. He even used the teleportation formation to leave the second sky. He had already done what he wanted to do, so there was no point in staying any longer. After this incident, if nothing unexpected happened, the Demon Palace would definitely seal off the entire Heaven Realm. At that time, it would be difficult for him to leave. However, the moment Longao left, he used the teleportation formation to return to the second sky. However, he did not enter the Demon City. Instead, he went to other places. The incident in the Demon Palace had shaken the entire second sky. No one knew what was going on. 3 months, for a whole 3 months, the Demon Palace had suffered countless casualties before they finally destroyed all of the corpse slaves and soul slave. Personally destroying the martial artists of the Demon Palace was a form of self-torture for Mo Wufeng and the other elders. However, they had no choice but to take action. If they allowed these soul slaves and corpse slaves to do whatever they wanted, they could imagine what would happen. At that time, there was even a possibility that the Demon Palace would be destroyed. Even so, the Demon Palace had suffered heavy losses. This was something that had never happened in the Demon Palace. From the beginning to the end, the Demon Palace did not find out who was the culprit. As for what was going on, no one knew. Demon Palace, Main Hall, silence, Mo Wufeng and the other 4 elders were gathered together. After a quick count, they realized the extent of the Demon Palace's losses. They had lost more than half of their forces. What sort of concept was that? Have you found out? Palace Master, we still can't find out. However, there's only one thing that we're sure of. This person must have entered the demon tomb. As for how he successfully refined it, we have no idea. Entering the demon tomb without a sound and no one noticed it from the beginning to the end. Was this true? One should know that this was the Demon Palace and the Demon Tomb was one of the forbidden areas of the Demon Palace. Those below the hierarch realm were not qualified to enter. Not even divine emperors were qualified to enter. Not only that, under normal circumstances, no one would easily enter the Demon Tomb. If that was the case, how could an outsider enter the Demon Tomb? It was almost impossible. If it wasn't an outsider, could it be someone from the Demon Palace? Emo-san and Emojio were both dead. Longao of course would not easily reveal this matter. Only Mo-san and Mo-ju knew about this matter. After the two of them died, it was impossible for the Demon Palace to find out about this matter. Palace Master, could there be a traitor in the Demon Palace? The Great Elder did not want to suspect this at all. After all, no one was willing to believe that there would be a traitor in the Demon Palace. However, after thinking about it, there was no other possibility other than a traitor in the Demon Palace. However, Mo Wufeng shook his head and said, "It shouldn't be possible. This person first assassinated our Demon Palace's martial artists to divert our attention. Although we still don't know how this person entered the demon tomb without anyone noticing, I'm certain that this person is from the outside." Mo Wufeng also could not figure out why this person was targeting the Demon Palace and was able to refine countless soul slaves and corpse slaves. It was simply unbelievable. "Palace Master, what should we do now?" "It's very simple. This person should still be in the Demon City. Completely seal off the entire Second Sky region. I want to find this person no matter the cost. I want to see who dares to target the Demon Palace." The loss was too great. If they could not find this person, how could the Demon Palace establish itself in the chaotic world in the future? "Yes, Palace Master." All the elders got up and left quickly. In just a few hours, the entire Second Sky region was completely sealed off to search for this person. However, they did not even know who this person was. How could they locate him? It was simply nonsense. Wanting to find this person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. The matter of the Demon Palace had not only shaken the Second Sky region, but also the entire chaotic world. Chapter 3087. They had no clue. Demon Palace had met their match. They had been schemed against, but they didn't know who the opponent was. Since the establishment of Demon Palace, such a thing had never happened. It couldn't be described as a humiliation. What happened in the Second Sky region had shaken the entire Chaos realm. No one knew who was so crazy as to provoke the Devil Palace and almost destroy it. Demon Palace was one of the strongest forces in the Chaos realm. Not to mention ordinary warriors, even super forces like the Domain Lords Alliance and Pill Hall didn't dare to provoke them. What shocked the Chaos realm the most was Demon Palace was almost destroyed. From the beginning to the end, Demon Palace didn't even know who the opponent was. Countless people began to mock Demon Palace. They were all guessing who the opponent was, where did they come from, and why did they want to deal with Demon Palace. After the news of Demon Palace spread, another explosive news broke out in the Second Sky region. The person who dealt with Demon Palace didn't leave the Sky region. Instead, he went around assassinating Demon Palace's people, including peak divine emperors. What was this person trying to do? They had seen crazy people, but they had never seen such a crazy person. Demon Palace had suffered heavy losses, but he didn't leave. Instead, he stayed to deal with Demon Palace. It was hard to imagine. Just how deep of a grudge did he have with the Devil Palace for him to take such a risk? In the Second Sky region, Longao had already left, but he returned again. The biggest reason was that he wanted to continue dealing with the Devil Palace. Even if Demon Palace suffered heavy losses, he couldn't take it lying down. Mo Wutian and Zhuiying, those two shameless things, wanted to steal his 9-revolution chaos technique. Longao's intention was simple. He stayed to deal with Demon Palace. As long as they were from the Devil Palace, he would kill them on sight. Longao's strength was needless to say. With Blackie's help, as long as they didn't encounter high-level ultimate gods, there was nothing to worry about. Both sides were in a stalemate. Demon Palace was in the light, while Longao was in the dark. It was obvious who had the upper hand. In the First Sky region, the Domain Lords Alliance started the most intense internal conflict in history. Great Elder Shur wanted to split, but many elders didn't want to. In this way, Shur had to choose a new leader. The Elder Council was divided into 3 groups. The first group supported Alliance Master Tsang Hao, the second group supported Great Elder Shur, and the third group of elders did not support anyone. Choosing a new alliance leader could be a big or small matter. If they could casually choose a new alliance leader, it would be too much of a joke. In the study, Big Brother, Shur has roped in 2 more elders. If this continues, we will be in a passive position. Once all the remaining elders are roped in, you can imagine what the result will be. How could Tsang Hao not know what his second brother meant? Tsang Hao also had a grave expression as he said helplessly, Shur had planned this from the start. I never imagined that Shur would break through to the primal chaos realm. This was indeed something that Tsang Hao had not expected. Big Brother, what should we do now? Let's wait and see. Tsang Han was completely helpless. He could only wait and see. If he continued to wait and see, once the other elders all stood on Shur's side, the position of the alliance leader might very well be handed over to someone else. This was something that Tsang Han was absolutely unwilling to see. Big Brother, why don't we kill Shur? This way we can eliminate the source of the problem. Tsang Han could not wait to kill Shur immediately. After so many years, he had had enough. His big brother was the alliance leader of the Domain Lords Alliance, but he was constantly restrained by Shur. It would be fine if his big brother was not in the primal chaos realm. However, his big brother was in the primal chaos realm and his strength was far above Shur's. It could be said that it would not be difficult for his big brother to kill Shur. However, what happened in the end? His big brother was not willing to take action at all. Once Shur's forces became stronger, it would be difficult for him to take action. Tsang Hao waved his hand and said helplessly, Second brother, you should know that if it was just Shur, it would be fine to kill him. However, once we take action, we will offend the person behind Shur. Tsang Hao did not continue speaking, but the meaning in his words was clear. Thinking of the person that his big brother mentioned, Tsang Han, who was about to say something else, swallowed his words. The internal strife of the Domain Lords Alliance had even overshadowed the attack on the Devil Palace. However, the current situation in the Primal Chaos world was really changing. First, the Devil Palace was attacked for no reason. Then, the Domain Lords Alliance began to have internal strife. Regardless of whether it was the Domain Lords Alliance or the Devil Palace, they were the top existences in the Primal Chaos world. This kind of thing had never happened in the Primal Chaos world. Among the 3 superforces, only the Pill Hall was still stable. Second Sky Region. Longao had already received the news about the Domain Lords Alliance, so he wasn't surprised at all. After all, Shur had exposed his strength and wanted to deal with Sister Lin. Longao had already guessed that he would have done the same if he were in Shur's shoes. Shur must have already known about it. Since they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, he might as well take the risk. If he succeeded, not only could he break the deadlock, but he could also become the Alliance Lord. It could be said that there were only benefits and no disadvantages. Longao did not think of going to the First Sky region to help Tsang Hao because he knew very well that he could help if he recovered his strength. However, the current situation was completely different. With his current strength, once he went to the Domain Lords Alliance, not to mention helping Tsang Hao, he might even go for wool and come home shorn. Another reason why Longao did not go to the First Sky region to help Tsang Hao was that he had full confidence in Tsang Hao. After all, Tsang Hao was the Alliance Lord after all. Moreover, Tsang Hao was also a chaotic realm expert. If there were no accidents, the final winner of this internal strife would be Tsang Hao and not Shur. Longao, who was left behind, continued to carry out assassinations. In just a few months, he had already killed tens of thousands of people. Even the powerful Devil Palace could not keep losing people like this. As time slowly passed, the Devil Palace began to panic because the longer it dragged on, the worse it would be for the Devil Palace's reputation. Not only that, the other party was hiding in the dark. It was not a good idea to continue like this. They had to find the other party as soon as possible. The Devil Palace was completely enraged. They mobilized more than 95% of their manpower and material resources to seal the entire Second Sky region. All the teleportation formations were also blocked. No matter who it was, they could neither enter nor leave the Second Sky region. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.